Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm back after almost more than a month. I think my last hangout show was on January 8th. So, yeah, um, sorry for the absence. And I'm going to talk about it like shortly, but really, there's not much. As you see, there's a bit of a new look, a new aesthetic, a new name for the show. It's no longer the Everybody Stream on Sunday, Tear Off Your Skin. So, if you have like thin, sensitive skin, take it off. So where have I been? I don't know how much you know. I made a community post and stuff like that, right? And I don't want to add on the drama, so I'm not going to talk much about it because it's mostly a personal matter, right? It's hello Mercurius, by the way. I can say hello to people and hello Bear. Yeah, that's what it is when you. I'm in heaven now. You're in hell. It's all of you. But yeah, it's like, as you know, like I'm promoting this style of role play, which we call like 4D role play, and it rustled some feather. It made some people upset for some reason. Some people accused us of being elitist and stuff like that. And people that I'm not somebody that believe like you're owed respect for just existing. I think you need to, you deserve it, right? And and some people I thought like I would have deserved the respect, at least to present my idea. Like, I hate fucking straw man. At least present my idea in a honest and accurate way. But I felt disrespected, and like I said, it did nothing wrong, right? It's just like, it's the internet, and I always like say, if you're not able to take the heat, log off, right? So that's what I did. I got upset, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna step away for a while. I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to add anything to the drama. I'm not gonna call to be upset with anybody. I'm not upset, It's a personal matter. Like, I had my feeling hurt, and so I took some time for myself. That's it. But it did make me think of a few things about how I'm gonna approach the channel and my presence online. I'm fucking sick and tired of the drama. And if you noticed in the description box, I always add those rules. Like I said, this is the Hangout show. People can join if they feel. You know what? I'm gonna post the link in the chat right now. There you go. People can join if they want, and we can talk about different topic. I usually come with a topic prepared that I want to talk about, but I'm always up for if people have question, if they want to go on different on talk about different things, right? So I added one more rule. I don't want any fucking drama. I'm fucking tired of people like trash talking other, like, like the culture war is one thing when people like are trying to destroy the hobby or trying to attack people for like stuff that has nothing to do, but not why attacking people for people like that, the way they play the game and stuff like that, right? Just like when they're not there, I think it's a bit it's not something that I appreciate. It's not something that I'm gonna tolerate on my stream. And also for that reason, I'm not gonna go on Hangout stream anymore. I'm open if people have like subject they want to discuss, topics. I'm open to join. We can discuss the topic and stuff like that if they invite me specifically. But I'm not gonna do Hangout stream that are just like random talking anymore, because like then it devolves into like too often it devolves into like bickering and stuff like that, and I got no taste for it anymore. What else I want to say? So that's about it, I guess. I'm gonna keep promoting what I believe in. Oh, one more thing I want to say. I try very hard to always like be nice and to say, you know what, whatever you want to play is fine, stuff like that. I shouldn't have to say that, and now like I got like fucking dragged in the mud, like I was trashing on people nonetheless. So I'm gonna fucking stop saying that. I'm gonna fucking stop. I'm just a guy on the internet. Of course, obviously, whatever I say here is my opinion. It's just like RPG or very like subjective topic. Like, I'm just a guy talking, right? I'm just like, don't take what I say like I'm speaking the truth. I'm talking about my preference and the way I see thing. If you say thing differently, that's fine. But if I'm here to, if I'm always like trying to, I mean, the caveat become like tiring at some point. So that's about that's about it for why I was away. I hope I didn't drag that too long. Maybe longer than I wanted.
Oh my god, that was so long.
Hello, Bear. How you doing?
Dude, how could I not be here if it was your first time back? Come on.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming, man.
Can I address
Yeah,
something that I would like everybody to understand?
yeah, of
I,
course.
I promise to be nice and polite. I never had any drama with you. We talked every day
No.
or every three,
Yes.
4 times a week. People seem to think you and I were at each other's throats. We were
No.
not
No.
at all.
And people have to understand that. Like maybe like we can have different view on gaming and stuff like that, but that's fine. I don't evaluate, like I don't judge the value of a person based on their view on gaming, right? That'd be silly. It's just like a fucking hobby.
Indeed.
Like it's just like so.
So dumb. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
Bear and I
We're
never
playing.
had
We're,
like any
we're
beef.
none. We're playing
And
cops and robbers, man. There's no reason for us to get all pretentious and up our asses
yeah,
about it.
exactly. And the people
Hmm,
like that trying, also that's something that some other thing I want to address. I should have done that before.
sure.
People that leave like wall of text in my comments, I'm gonna skim through it. If it doesn't seem like interesting or intelligent, I'm not gonna read that all. If you're gonna leave a wall of text on every of my video, you seem like you have a lot to say about the hobby. Make your own fucking channel, right? I encourage you at some point. There's no point of like putting like 500-word essay in every fucking video I make. They're not gonna be read.
It's
Uh,
insane, eh?
yeah,
Anyway,
and also people that want to like stir up shit between people. Stop it! Come on, fucking grow up. You're fucking addicted to drama. That's insane. Hello,
it's
Phil.
filled the
I put the
thrill.
link in the description, so you're welcome to join Dungeon Minister Father Aaron. Welcome, sir.
Wow, Dungeon Minister, how you doing, man?
Yeah. Marcus Aurelius said, "What's the word limit?" There's no word limit because if like you can put a long comment if you want, make it interesting, make it funny, write it properly with like word sentence and stuff like that. That does I don't feel like I'm having a stroke when I'm fucking reading it. That helps, using paragraph and like. But there's no word limit. But like I said, like if you have so much to say, we need people like to talk about, like it's always welcome.
There's nothing wrong with discussion. There's nothing wrong with disagreement. There's nothing wrong with heated debate. It's when
No.
people start judging each other over this stuff that it just gets really silly.
Yeah.
And that's the bad part.
And some people, that's their stick, right? They just want to do like they want to be the bad guy. They want to be like the and you know what? That's what you want to do. Like I'm not gonna tell you how to run your fucking channel, but that's not for me. That's all I'm gonna say, right? That's all I'm gonna say. And also, if you notice something about me, I don't do the fucking click thing. I'll talk to anybody that has something interesting to say. I don't fucking care. Like there's people I like that dislike other people. Doesn't mean I have to dislike them. There's people I like other people I dislike. I'm not gonna ask them to shit on them, right? Just like I'm not in fucking high school. I don't do this fucking click thing.
Wait, we're not in high school? Oh man, I'm gonna get arrested soon. Been hanging out at the high schools. I'm in trouble.
Well, I'm not the one to blame you.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. Anyway, so how you've been, man?
I've been good, man. Like you, I went through my little dark phase, and I made a video about it. I mean, about how humbled I was by the community. Hey, man, hell, I was talking to you about it. I'm like, Max, what the hell do I make of all this? And you said something to me that really, really hit me well, which is you said you need to understand that people go to work, they do the job they don't like, they drive home in traffic, they deal with all the shit, and they get home and you guys are on talking. You're like their friends. I'm like, I never even remotely thought of it that way, So that was really, it was a good statement. Gave me some
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, like I've been in those kind of work when you're in the office, open space office. It's fucking nightmare. You have to have your headphone like all the time on your ear because like
Yeah.
people like you're in an open space office, and people behave like instead of behaving like in a library, they behave like in a bowling alley, right? It's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah.
insane. It's like, guys, some of us are trying to actually do work.
Or
But
alternately tune you out. That's also what
yeah,
we're trying to do a little bit.
yeah. But
Ah,
hey, Crispy, nice seeing you. Don't worry if you're late. Did you like my
yeah,
new intro?
Crispy and Phil going to join us? What's going on, man?
I hope so.
Me too.
Hello, Nerdy Yoga.
Especially, given our back scenes conversation we're having. So I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else did I want to say? Yeah, like this fucking drama and this old shit, like it hit all of us,
Yeah.
in this fucking city, right?
It was beyond silly, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Well, yeah, it's all people are.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, I've done a lot of work on Bastard Sword.
Oh,
I took the opportunity for that. I started to get like some layout mock-up from my layout guy.
okay.
The guy did my layout and art, and I'm very happy with what he's doing so far.
Good.
Yeah. I set up a new background, which I don't know why.
You set
It
up a
amused
what?
me.
Yeah, it's weird, but
Background.
it's like a '70s alien abduction movie,
Yeah.
And then they put me in the room of the lights. It's very
Yeah.
Xanadu.
Yeah. So what I want to talk about tonight
Mm-hmm.
is how the GM is a player. And you know what? It's interesting that you're here because I think we have like we can have very different view on that, you and
Let's
I.
find out.
Yeah. That's something that's often like debated. Oh, here's Phil. Before we go into the topic, let's welcome Phil. Phil, you look like a big OBS circle. Phil had some trouble with his technology.
Clearly.
Yeah. We'll give him a chance. But he's probably gonna reboot and come back. Yeah. OBS can be finicky sometime. The topic came to me like after the game session that I GM that I posted on Monday. Was it on this Monday? Yeah, it was Monday. And I was rewatching it, and that was like a new experience to me, to be honest. Like it was the first time I was GMing online, and it was the first time. It was also the first time I was like GMing like fully in English. Oftentimes like I GM in Franglish. Hello, Phil. How you been, man?
It was the first time you're jamming in English.
In fully English.
In what is fully English? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that dialect of English. Fully,
like well, like fully, yeah. Like I like almost. I realize that my natural language nowadays is like Franglish.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I talk with my mates and stuff like that, we talk like in French and English, and it's all mixed in between because we all like bilingual, right?
Yep.
So now, like when I talk to people that are only speak French or only speak English, it's like my word count is cut in half.
So I find myself saying to Anglos all the time, saying "c'est pas possible," and they look at me like, "What the hell did you just say?" And I'm like, "It's not possible. Never mind."
Yeah. I like saying common phrases to Max because he never knows what I'm saying. Like I said, "Sorry if I'm giving you the third degree" earlier today. He was like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
So, yeah. And by the way, I'd like to point something out. You took a vacation only from English YouTube. We know you were on the French channels, sir. We heard.
I've been only once that I've been there. Where you heard them from?
Oh,
who ratted on
wall. Me? Hungar, man, Hungar called your shit out.
I didn't know.
I don't know. That's the weird part. When Hungar told me, I'm like, I don't even want to know how Hungar knew this.
Yes, that's true. I joined a show from a French channel, which was also strange, talking about role-playing game in French. The channel is called like Pilule Rouge Jeu de Rôle, Pilule Rouge GDR, something like that. And it was like their first time doing this kind of like hangout stream, so I kind of, you know what, I'm gonna join them. See what they're up to. I thought it was like different enough from different. I didn't thought I would get caught.
You didn't get caught. Well, you got caught, sir. But that's okay. You didn't get mad.
I got caught cheating.
It doesn't count.
You dirty bitch. How could you cheat on us?
Yeah.
You filthy, filthy, filthy animal.
But like that's also a thing. Like it was an opportunity for me to bring like my point of view to a new audience in some way, right? That like I don't know. I could have like made a French channel as well, but I decided not to.
I don't know, because the only experience I've had with the French gaming community here is in LARPing, right? I've never like actually played tabletop with them, like at the table.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the philosophy is like. I don't know how different anybody feels about anything. I just remember what they were like in LARPing, which was exactly the same as English people speaking French. There was like no difference I found. So I don't know.
Yeah. Hello, Crafting Gamer. Nice seeing you. Yeah.
TCG.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's the Super Bowl tonight.
Yeah.
Who's winning? Who's winning the match?
Me, because I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I don't fucking care.
I win by not paying attention.
Yeah.
The reason I care is because I like streamers that care. So I want them to be happy on the next stream.
Who people are rooting for?
Well, I'm referring specifically to Dr. Disrespect. He's a big 49ers fan. I like to watch his channel a lot.
Huh.
You know who I'm talking about?
Whoops, sorry. That's not right. I know who Dr. Disrespect is. Yeah. I never watched anything. Like I just know like from osmosis, cultural osmosis. I never watched anything of him. Is that the term? Cultural osmosis?
It can be. It makes sense. I don't know if it's a common phrase.
I got my own common
English, which for you is impressive. Well done.
So yeah, I had my game, and if you haven't watched that game, Phil fucking stole the show in that game.
Did he?
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
Did he put it back when he was done, or did he take it home?
Nah, I took it home.
No, he fucking brought it home, man.
I was like, thanks for the game, Max.
Yeah, I did nothing.
Nah, you crushed it, man. As like I said, that's like the best GM I ever had. So,
well, thank you.
I'm new to all this stuff, all this top tier goodness that we're doing out here. So, what do you think GM is a player? I'd like to talk about that if we can.
Yeah, let's get to the topic. Oh, Crispy! I don't know. Crispy is.
He said he's almost caught up and he's going to jump in.
Yeah, he said he's going to jump in.
Yep.
Okay, because I know like he was kind of busy, but like well, we can. Oh, there he is. There you go. Speaking of the devil.
Finally,
the devil.
Finally, someone calls the secularist as they see him.
That's right.
Why?
Yeah. Phil was stealing too much of the limelight, and I was like, nope, time to shoot him in the back.
To the game.
Yeah, it's a reference to the game where Phil was playing a priest and Crispy was playing like a doctor, secularist that was there to keep him in check.
And I was failing miserably.
What game were you
resort to violence?
Awesome.
What game were you playing?
We're playing like a
Pendragon.
trimmed down version of Pendragon, but not in the Pendragon setting at all. Like in a setting of just like it was just like a kind of like Renaissance. So they were on a witch hunt. The concept of the game was like the cultural climate was changing, and there was like pressure with the secular world, like wanting to have those witch hunts to end. But now, like as a compromise, the king said, you know what, we're gonna have a member of the academia join you in the witch hunt to make sure there's no abuse and stuff like that. The thing are made properly.
Okay.
I'm still
was like kind of conflict baked in.
Your 100% conviction of witches rate was a little questionable to the crown, so they sent me along to try to rein you in.
Good
thing too is you were framing the poor young woman right up to the end when you instructed her to be killed. Oh man!
I mean,
it was good. Phil was amazing.
Not to spoil it.
Yeah, it was meant to be a one shot with
spoiler
like
alert
baked in, like conflict baked in the party. But yeah, so when I was
recommend everyone watch it.
Yeah, go check it out. It's good
if you want to watch a let's play.
It
don't get better.
Well, it could, but that's It could, and that's exactly what I want to talk about tonight with this idea that the gym is a player. All right, let's get to it.
Yeah.
Unless Crispy, you have something else to add?
No.
As
Let's get
the
right on
AI
it. Yeah.
people-
I want to add
Yeah.
one thing. I noticed I'm
Yeah.
wearing all my Whataburger merch today. I got my cup.
Oh wow,
This
wow. What happened? You don't have any Wendy's merch?
I don't. There's no Wendy's here.
You don't
There's
have
no Wendy's
Wendy's?
there.
I know, right? All those coops are gonna go to waste.
Where are you?
I live in. There's a Wendy's near, like in an adjacent town.
Oh,
But
okay.
I live in Nacogdoches. It's the oldest town in Texas.
So you're in Texas.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's why Whataburger. I
Yeah,
guess
totally
they've
strip your
started
background.
branching out.
We have to pay him
Just-
$20 a song to be in the chat with him.
Yeah. Hello, Bleaker.
Thank you.
The stupid background, I can change the color and shit like that, but I try to pick something that won't make you too blind. Some of them were all kind of fucking blinking light and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know why I did that. Just thought it was funny.
No need to explain.
It's better than green screen, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Green screen is convenient, but like
Yeah.
I kind of
looks
like
cool.
I kind of get something against technology, and that's too much
Yeah.
technology.
Are you currently in the fourth dimension? Is that what that symbolizes?
That's exactly what it is. All right. So the gym is a player. The topic came to my mind following this game when I was watching and stuff like that, because like I watched the game, and as I talk a lot about, like I go in those games with very little prep. I baked in like what you guys asked for document was basically what I had, right? I told you like I had like this initial situation about, okay, you're gonna be on which one? There's this conflict with the secular world that is coming over and stuff like that. I gave you that, and then we went to the character, and that's basically, and then like I knew, okay, it was a mountain town that used to be a mining town. The mine is dried up, whatever, right? That's basically all I had. I didn't even know if there would be a witch. I didn't even know if it'd be real. I didn't know if like supernatural was real or not in the setting. I didn't decide any of that. And because I like to come up with that on the fly as a reaction to what the player do. That's
Yep.
the style I like to play. That's the style I enjoy to play. I used to do a lot of prep. I loved world building as an exercise, but I realize I enjoy myself more at the table when I go with less prep, and because it put me on the edge of my seat that I have to come up with stuff on the fly. It's challenging to me. And for me, I feel in this way that I am playing a game, right? I'm not just there to entertain people. I'm not just there to tell my story. I'm not just there to present something, Yes, it feels safer if you have the prep and stuff like that, and you're like, but at some point, if you do all those like scenario and you try to anticipate what the player are gonna do, and you have like a series of a if then else then you just become like an algorithm, right? You just become like a machine. And for me, it's just like something that I don't enjoy quite as much, and that's where the topic came from. And I'm curious about what the people think about it. Those views.
Speaking as the people, I would say that now I found that because in the two werewolf games that I ran, the first one I prepped a lot more than in the second one, and the second one felt a lot more relaxing. So I would almost disagree with you that it's harder if you with no prep. I almost think it's easier because you're not trying to shoehorn in everything in between the players, like actually developing the scene and doing everything. You're not trying to shoehorn in like all that stuff that you figured out. You could just be like, okay, and then just let Crispy say that he's walking somewhere, and then like, yep, you're there. That's where you are now.
Yes, and say something else again.
I'm starting to want. I thought your session was going to be about like, is the GM even necessary? Like at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like, could the
Absolutely.
GM be a player?
Absolutely, you need a GM.
I agree with Crispy on that one, 100%.
I do think you need like the GM.
It's just a hypothetical.
I said the GM is a player. I'm not saying the GM is just a player.
No.
He does have a different role. He's
Yes.
He's there to represent the world, the NPCs, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you're still
you're
playing
not-
a game.
If you want to have like an interesting experience for the player, I think you're probably right. You need a GM to have something else going on.
What do you think, Crispy?
Well, I I don't know. I'll defer. Well, let's hear what Bear has to say. I'll probably agree more with Phil than Bear. So let's go to Bear, and then I'll chime in.
I'm not even sure what the question is at this point in time, right?
Because GM is a player.
Absolutely, the GM is a player.
You feel about the GM being a player because you love world building.
Yep.
And you love like creating those walls and stuff like that. You like video and stuff like that, right? Just like so, you and I we have a very different approach on
world building, absolutely.
On world building, right?
Yeah.
And also, like I got to say, I do like my world much more mundane because, like, I always say, like, you know, the character or the star, the show, not the world. Like I always say, and that's something like that come from my background in writing as well, right? Just like what people connect to is the characters. In the setting, the background is something for the character to evolve in. The character are not an excuse to expose the setting, right? And that's a mistake that a lot of like fantasy and sci-fi show do. And it's something a lot of people, like a lot of GM do, I think, as well.
Yeah. I think there's a middle road. I always take a middle road. You know by now, I'm always down the middle on these things. I don't pick a side. I think the GM is absolutely a player. Yes, I do extensive world building, but I don't do extensive adventure prep. I don't feel a need to do that. My world is there. I know it. I understand it. Therefore, I can just present the scenario and then see where the players take me. And then as moments happen, I might go, ooh, let's throw a curveball. Ooh, they went somewhere I didn't expect, and now I got to make a whole new NPC out of my head right now, pull it out of my butt. You know, that's where I get to be the player, is in reacting to the players going on the adventure. I've said it many times. I'll say it again. It's how Neil Gaiman describes writing, which is basically, he says, it's like you're taking a trip. You know all the sights you want to see when you take that trip, but how you get there, that's the journey. So that's kind of how I ref. There are a few things I'm going to want to make sure are set pieces or events or what have you, but how we get to those things, and even if we do get to those things, is going to be all up to the players and how I react to them. So I have no issue with what you're talking about. I just like my world building, so I know my world. Because I want verisimilitude, right? I don't want one scene, the world to feel one way, and then, now it feels this way, and now it feels that way. So by doing the world building in advance, I have a stable base to work from in a more improvisation way.
I think consistency is very important, and that's also part of the reason why I like to keep my world like fairly mundane, because like then player are welcome to add stuff to the world, like that makes it, but we all have the same assumption because we're not doing something crazy, right? So we all like have a common understanding. Like now I said, like, well, it's kind of like late 16, early 17th century kind of European kind of setting, right? Something very simple that we all like seen movie in that thing, or kind of like read play in that time, right? So we have a common understanding, and now the player can like interact with that, and it's easier to keep consistency.
I agree.
Yes, it's not like super fantastical, but I usually don't find the super fantastical add that much to the interest of the story. But I know some people are into that. Some people like want to see like, magic at every corner, and then now like all the street light or floating and like. But that's never something that really excited me.
No, we agree on that. I'm much prefer more loud-based magic. Sorry, go ahead, Phil. My apologies.
Nah, I felt like I was going to cut off Crispy because I thought he was going to give his take on GM as a player.
My favorite parts of the game are when the characters and the non-heroic characters, so the NPCs, feel real. And so my favorite part as a GM player, is when my non-heroic cast members, so the other people that populate the world, feel authentic to me and to the other players. And so this is why everyone should try being a game master, run the game, because you get more chance to practice role playing as the game master than as the players. And what I mean by that is you have to switch quickly between the femme fatale, the hired hitman, the villainous guy, the barkeep, the dish pig. You have to go through all of those, and they all have to be believable and distinct. And so it's like this. It's a masterclass in trying to get into the headspace of all of these non-heroic characters. And then the challenge is you're a player who doesn't win by beating the other characters or the other players. Like, so you're not there to beat them. You're there to create this canvas that they can riff off all the things that are going on, and it still feels like this is authentic, and I can taste the pasta, I can hear the jazz in the background, I can do all of that, and it's just really so as a player, I think that when I think GM as a player, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm not thinking of the mechanic sides of things, which is really important. That's a separate role. It's an additional role, so it's player plus. Yeah. And that's why it's challenging, and that's why everyone who plays should take a time behind the screen, switch seats, and you get a different view of the hobby.
And it's fun.
So we all agree is what we're saying at the end of the day.
This is boring. We all agree that we should all be a GM. The best part of being a GM is when you're in those different heads, like when you're in that. And that's the best part.
And also like those different NPCs, right? Sometimes you have to come up with one like on the spot, right? And then you develop like, and even like, you know, people like say, oh, playing D&D is going to bring you something in real life. I think it does in some way, because like you have to kind of understand like different type of personality, different type of people and stuff like that. And you can just like conjure something, like sometimes like those characters, like they're inspired by this guy the grocery clerk that I always like see in the, you know, it's like, oh, this is this guy now, which I catalog people.
Plus, I mean, you like you were saying, Crispy, about the playing the non-heroic characters, which I love, by the way. I love that way more than NPC as a term. I love the idea of non-heroic. Yeah. You also get a variety of motivations you get to play as well. You're supportive of the heroes. You're antagonistic to the heroes. You're an asset the heroes need to uncover. You're a challenge that they need to get past. Like, there's all these things you get to do that the players will never get to do themselves, because that's not their purpose. That's not their motivation. So as a result, they're going to motivate to do what they need to do. And then you have to, like you said, switch. And like Dungeon Mistress said, you know, it's jazz. Or it's improv. It's stand-up.
It's improv.
Crowd work. You know?
And I love that improv. Exactly, Bear. I love the improv side of it. And I, unlike the characters, are taking more of a deep dive. So like the player characters are that's a deep dive. I don't have to go as deep. I just have to go deep enough for that scene, what's happening, what they need. And then I'm not emotionally committed to this NPC yet. I might become emotionally committed to the villain if it's a recurring nemesis type character, but I like that, because then like you were just saying, Max, you got to on the fly. You can just create something, and that practice is really helpful in our style of play when you're a player as well, because you're invited to have friends and contacts and other things that you can pull up, and that's a level of creative license that we're okay with in some games. Some tables won't be, but we're okay with it. And being able to understand that I think it's good. It's really good practice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. What Father Aaron was saying there, like about like, I assume it's like playing jazz. Like that's an example I often use. Like that's like, because jazz is a conversation. I think role playing is like, especially when you're improvisational jazz, right? Somebody's gonna do something, and then like one instrument's doing something, and then the other instrument reply to it. I'm a big fan of jazz. People that don't know, but
that's it. It's actually, if I could just jump in just real quick, Max, in jazz, you'll often come back to the same riff.
Yeah, that's what I
like when you're listening. So you were going to get there. So I'm sorry to interrupt. But that's what I was thinking with that jazz, is that it was, hey, we're coming back to that same riff, the same motive. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with GM for a while. At some point, you develop those tools as well, right? You and then you have like those bag and like those character. It's gonna be like this other guy that I did in another game, and maybe mixed up with this other guy, and then like it becomes easier over time as well, right? You develop those motifs.
You do, and then when you're really gelling as a group, even though Phil's doing something completely different, we're not breaking the verisimilitude of the setting, because we're still understanding that we're coming back to this. We improvise, but the improvisation is contained within what is believable in that fictional world. So the world building that Bear was talking about, that's an important component. Just like in jazz, if you suddenly go off and you have nothing to connect with you've completely changed the measure, you've changed the key signature, you've gone all over the map. You're no longer respecting what the foundation that was laid out for that particular piece. It's going to be really hard. It's going to stand out. Like jazz isn't just anything goes. that's
No.
not jazz at all.
That's what people don't understand. That's the thing, though. That's what they don't understand about jazz. I'll give you an example of a player recently doing something that blew me away. Ye Olde Geek made a character who in the world was a knight of this one kingdom. He rolled up his background, found out that his family, they'd gotten their knighthood through textiles. Right? Okay. Weird thing to have, but there it is in the game. Nothing we can do about it. He rolled it. He liked it. He went with it. Because in the background, it was mentioned that the queen of the nation he's in has suddenly started wearing red a lot because she might tie to this prophecy myth about the lady in red or the woman in red, and she's maybe trying to set herself up as this prophetic figure. He decided his family made their money by selling red fabric to the queen.
Dyes. Yeah.
Right, dyes on, and that's where they made all their money on. I would never in a million years as the GM have thought of that as a cool thing to do, but he did it, and it worked perfectly. And then as a player, he had every reason to dig in his heels and go, no, I'm not going on this quest. There's no reason for me to go on this quest. But as a player, he remained open to the jazz, the improv, the thing to find legitimate, believable reasons for his character to go along with all this stuff, as opposed to do the dig in my heels and say, nope, no, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
And that digging in the heels, Bear, that's such a problem for us game masters, is that like we had a situation in our werewolf game where Cody, GM Cody, did this amazing thing where Phil, you were talking about this when we picked apart the session last night.
40 tweakers,
where there's an NPC that Phil has introduced, and Cody took it upon himself to be like, I hate that guy. I mean, he's a total putz, and the temptation sometimes from our seat is to say, well, actually. He's a cousin of and you actually are close. The GM and player thing is just like other players. It's riffing off what your players are doing instead of putting up constant pushback. Well, actually.
And I agree. See, this is the thing. We all agree more than we disagree, and that's the point of it all. Right. And that's what we need to be looking at. That's why I'm looking forward to this idea that we have together, this plan that we're coming up with. I think this is a great idea because I want us to show everyone we're not as different as we want to think we are. We're not in camps. We're not behind walls. We're not armies. We just use different terms, different philosophies, what have you. But at the end of the day, it's still a game and we're still playing to have fun. Crazy. I know.
So that is like a player, a GM as a player is also... You like other players, unless you're playing with me and Phil, where I just try to mess up Phil all the time, and he just kind of lets me get away with it for the most part. I'm constantly like butting heads with Phil constantly. But that's not you're trying to be a player, a good player, and all of the characteristics of a good player apply to the game master as well. So it's.
So I wanted to talk about the framework idea, the jazz metaphor. What is the framework? Can you set up like a pre-framework? So like you're talking about a mundane world. I think anything can be kind of mundane if there's like a pretty solid expectation or a pretty solid reason to expect things to happen. Like in a Western, you'd be like, okay, there's going to be horses. There's going to be this, and this. You could be like in a fantasy world. Okay, there's going to be some magic. Like you can still kind of have a mundane fantasy world almost.
When I say like mundane, like when I say like I prefer mundane world, like for me, like the mundane is not an end in itself. It's a mean to an end, right? It's a mean to let the player make assumption about the world, so I don't have to give them like pages and pages and pages of backstory. They don't have to know all those things. So you don't have to ask questions. You know, like what you assume is in this world that we define like broadly. Yeah, it's probably gonna good enough. It's correct, right? It's just
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
so
like in a pregame situation, you kind of want to set that background, kind of like what you did with your witches game. You set the setting and you set, I guess I would call it the theme of the game, where it's like a witch hunt.
The tone, or
But that's
and so once you do that, I think that has to happen as soon as everyone agrees on that, and then you can kind of.
I'd actually put that in the social contract. Like, okay, so we all agree. I would actually go so far as to put that in the social contract, so that you don't suddenly have a player that says we're going to change completely, and what you thought was a Cowboys game is now a Cowboys and Aliens game.
Well, but the
No.
thing is that this is we're going back to the jazz analogy, or going back even to the musical analogy. Your GM's the band leader, right? They're the one who starts the music. They pick the tempo. They pick what they're going to do first, and then the players jump in,
Pick
and
the
then it
key.
starts to change and evolve. But every now and then, he's got to bring it back to the base. He's got to go, okay, we went, oh, let's bring it back. But then he has the thing. You're playing at Cowboys and Indian games. All you've said is we're going to be playing a game in the Old West. That's it. And then suddenly there are aliens an hour into the session. And if it's done well and it plays right, the players are going to go, what the hell, Bob? And their minds are going to be blown as they now have to have their characters deal with this new reality that is given to them.
True.
And that's all right as well. Like if it's new to the character, then it doesn't interfere really, because like you don't have like this clash where the character should know something because they lived in that world all their life,
Exactly.
right? No, it's like the player and the character find out in the same time, so there's no clash between and so that it's not such a bother.
Or let the player create it.
Yeah,
It's
like
like, yeah, I know
what you
about
did,
this.
Phil. You ran into this because you were playing with in your werewolf game. I did try to read, but there's hundreds of pages of lore, and I'm not going to get all through all of it, especially for like a one shot. Yeah. And Max was doing something, and you're like, oh, technically, that's not how the spirit works.
Yeah.
Broke the
but you
setting.
just went with it. You just let it go, right? Like that was that's I think a good skill to have.
It was painful.
But like Bear was saying, as a player, as the GM as a player, does have a responsibility if things are going way a completely different direction, and it's just not the area that. Instead of bringing back to the rails, I think the way that you do that as a GM, as a player, is that you have one of these NPC characters involved. Like you then drop in and say, so if you want to communicate information about the werewolf lore, then your Glasswalker cop can do that, right? Yeah. I think that's just a better example of a GM that's getting the information into the player's hands where they need it, but doing it through someone that already exists in the world.
Take care.
See you, Father on. Have a good night. Thank you for dropping by.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Again, we agree. This is the most boring stream you've ever had, because we're all just
super
going to
boring.
It's not boring if everyone agrees. It's just exploring an idea.
Yeah, it's not spicy though. It's bland. It's British cuisine.
Not everything has to be spicy, I think, but like because like there's
some
like,
bangers, some mash.
And that's something I always like worry about. Like I always like think about. Like we're often like preaching to the choir, right? People that listen to us, like they're not like necessarily new guys, and they like all of us have been running games for a long time. We figured that out, right? But you see a lot of people that don't play in that way, that don't realize that those GM that don't want to let go of any of the control, right? They have like those very strict idea. They made all those plot points. You're gonna get through them. They're always gonna bring you back. They prepare a lot, and they put a lot of pressure on them. And we see that like people talking about giving those kind of advice that you should do that on YouTube as well. Like people like Ginny D and stuff like that always goes to the GM burnout, right? We see people doing that. We see people that like you're not there. You're there to play a game as well. Enjoy yourself. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself. And the reason I said like this idea of topic came about from rewatching the game I ran, right? Because when I rewatch the game, I see stuff that I did that were mistake. Stuff that I did, like idea that I pushed, that you know what? I should have gone with that instead. I should have like done this thing instead. It would have been better, right? Yes, it would have been better. Maybe if I prep and stuff like that, I could have come up with like the best idea for the scenario, right? But then I would just like run you through like a scenario. I would just like you would just be there to. I wouldn't be like playing the game on the same level, in my opinion.
I find that back on. I'm sorry.
So that's what I want to talk about. Like sometimes like when you play the game, and when you watch those live play, it's not gonna be like if you want to have the game perfect, right? Look perfect on stream and stuff like that. What we do, we script it in advance. And we rehearse, and we would like present it to you, like, and it'd be like fucking amazing game, critical role. But
probably still.
But we don't do that. We play a game. What do you think?
I said it'd probably still be shit.
It would be the best we could. It would be the best we could present in a way, right? Because like we just like all like, but it would be fake. Now what we do is a real game where we play. So yeah, mistakes are made because like stuff is made up on the fly. It's not gonna be perfect. So you don't have, when you watch those games, you have to keep that in mind. You're not watching like something. It's not like you're watching a movie, right? It's never gonna be.
I feel like the best. When you guys were talking about putting the game back on rails as a GM. I think that when a GM does that the best is when everyone's kind of lulling, when there's a lull, and then the GM's like, boom, this thing's happening. There's an elephant in your room now.
Yep.
And then I feel like that's the best way.
Well, I mean, it's also like going back to the Cowboys and Aliens idea, right? Now, if the GM introduces aliens, in the third act or the second act of the story or whatever you're doing, the third session, whatever you want to call it, okay, that's the GM keeping the tempo. Yeah. But if you're going to let the players do it, and suddenly one of the players goes, "It's aliens! Oh my god!" Blah, blah, and they go, "Well, now the GM has to make a decision: is it going to be aliens, or is it not going to be aliens?" And then they have a choice of which way they're going to take it from there. And I mean, a really good GM will take it and make it look like it's aliens. Nope, and X-Files them. You know what I mean? We're just like, nope, and then the player's like, oh, and then the other ones. And if it's a campaign, the next session. Or the next time this player goes, I got an idea. This character says, oh, it's a dinosaur. They're going to be like, shut up, Bob. Like, remember the aliens thing that turned out to be, Mexican banditos,
Yeah, because like, that's the thing.
That it just bounces and becomes something interesting and dynamic and alive and unique.
It's not because like a character. It's not because like a player says it, because it's a character saying it. It doesn't mean that it's true, right? Character can be wrong as well, right? Like they don't.
Yeah, and my characters can be wrong. And they usually are.
Not one time. Except for when you were disagreed with father.
It's an interesting thought experiment, I think, to consider what you like most about role-playing games as a player, and then ask yourself, can I get that as a game master? And I think that the answer is, well, yes, you should be able to get that. Whatever that is, what do you like most about it? It shouldn't. The two roles are different, but they're not so different that they should be divorced from the same underlying enjoyment. You derive a lot of fun out of this. Why can't you do that as a game master? Assuming you're not some psychopath and your fun out of the game is something that's abhorrent. But that's a fringe minority. That's not going to be most. Most players, they'll gravitate some things that they really like. You should be able to do that as a game master. You should have you should be able to find that same enjoyment.
Phil, a lot. Yeah. I want to come back to that, but Phil wanted to disagree with you.
I disagree.
Go ahead.
Basically, I wanted to say that I think that
cantankerous Texan.
That's it. That's all. The GM experience is totally different than the player experience, in my opinion. And it's like you have like I don't even know how to describe the GM experience when you're totally like improvising it. Whereas as a character, you're just like, okay, I'm this dude. I'm in the head of this dude. But the world is, I don't know. I feel like it's totally different, and it's a totally different like feel. You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
What do you think, Bear?
Well, I hate you, Chris.
It was inevitable.
So the other night
I made one PvP game, and now like fucking people can't get along anymore.
The other night I played in Cody's game, and in one scene, my character antagonized a local soldier because he was being a dick to one of the other PCs that my character felt, you know what, you're being a dick for no reason, so he's going to be a dick to this guy. And
is that the one where he's gotten a duel or something?
Yeah, he challenges me to a duel and all this shit. Later, when all the shit hits the fan and the enemies are attacking the castle and I'm running through the corridors trying to get to the other players who stayed in the castle and didn't listen to me when I said, we're going to go sleep outside because my character's a paranoid schizophrenic. As a GM, my brain went, how fucking cool would it be if I ran across that guy right now? And it turned out he was on the other side. And now we get to have our duel in the hallway. But I'm not the GM. I'm the player. So let it go. Right? So there is a very different mentality you will experience in how you play the game. Yes, Crispy's right. You can get some of the same dopamine hits from things that you do as a player that you can also do as a GM. But then there is that line where when you're on one side or the other side of it, it's a very different kind of hit you're going to get. It's a very different kind of dopamine based on where you're sitting in the seat. Both are good. Both are fun. But they are different. So I half agree with Crispy. I half agree with Phil.
No, you fully agreed with me.
I'm
think
in the
that's
fucking
right
middle.
on the record.
I'm walking the middle path like I always.
I guess
No,
I'm
you're over here.
convinced.
Come on over here, man.
I'm somewhat convinced of Phil's argument. It is different
'Cause we
when
got
you're
Lord
sitting
Mateus on my
behind.
side,
Oh,
too.
come on,
Gosh.
Lord Mateus, come on. So, Phil, you're right. You feel a different pressure when you're behind the screen than you do as a player. There is a different pressure there for sure. What I was getting at is the role play that you do as the game master should be the same style of role play that you're asking your players to do. Otherwise,
That's
you're
where I
asking
agree.
them to do something that you're not willing to do. I
That's
guess
right.
that
Well,
was
there's
that's
always a
100%
big difference. There's a big difference that when you're a game master, usually you're gonna role play in third person, and that for me is
yes.
a big difference. And because like when I play when I'm a player, I really try as much as I can to override my own thought process with the thought process of my character. It's not me thinking anymore. Like I try to replace, like rewire my brain for like this. Like of course, there's always like a part of me in it, but like as much as I can rewire my brain, like to be somebody else, right? To embody the character as much as I can. So I don't have like those intrusive stuff like, oh, if I was a GM there, because I'm not a player at the table. I'm not a character in that world. As much as I can, that's where I want to be. That's where I'm in the zone. And I see the world through my character's eyes. That's why I always like role playing. I say when I role play in first person, stuff like that. When I'm the GM, then I see the world from third person. I see the world from a camera outside. I'm not in one character's head, right?
Mm-hmm.
I slip in there like momentarily when I role play a character in a scene, stuff like that. Then I have to switch to a different one, stuff like that. But then I always come back from like, okay, looking at the scene, describing the world, what I see. Okay, the hut is dusty and dark and whatever, right? We'll see.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, Bear.
What I will never understand, well, not that I won't understand it, what I will never accept is the view that the NPCs should not have personalities, or the non-heroic characters should not have personalities.
You really like that term.
And I think it's a great term. I think it's a fantastic term. And the reason I will not accept it is because then go play a fucking MMO, because then they'll have little exclamation points over their head that tell you need to talk to them, skip, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with people who go, oh, it's a GMPC the minute the character has a personality or motivations or even thoughts that are not in line with making sure the players move forward in the way that the players want to do. I mean, the NPCs or the non-heroic characters, the NHCs, are not there to just hand out quests, trinkets, or left, right, north, south, east, west as a direction. They live in this world. They are living creatures. And I will disagree with you on one thing, MrMax, which is that when I'm playing those characters, I'm that character. Yes, you're right. I'll have to step back and look at it. But that's just a split brain moment, right? Where I just go, okay, wait, okay, and then back in. So for me, that's where I get to be a player. And that's where I get to have fun is, oh, the villain. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I ran a game years ago where they were doing this thing, and they finally got to the necromancer who'd been their opponent's thing, and the guy who was playing the wizard, my buddy Renzo, showed up, and he's in the throne room, and the necromancer's like, finally we have met, and he's doing his whole spiel. And then Renzo said the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard a human being say. Like, it was just dumbness. And he's supposed to be the wizard, and the dumbness came out of his mouth in character. Clearly, and I was so buried in the role of the necromancer that I just went, wait, what? He literally stopped and paused, and the whole mood switched all of a sudden as this villain realized, I've been playing chess with you and you're not even playing checkers. You're like, holy shit, I've got to reevaluate everything I've been doing here. And that's the fun stuff. That's when the players will throw you for the loop. And then you, if you're really invested in those characters and those NHCs, you're going to go wah-wah and then have to play on your feet, and becomes more dynamic and more real. And we talked about it 5 years later, still at the table,
And there are different levels too of like those. NHC, I guess the term we're going for with now.
Listen, you guys do what you want, but I just really like that term.
It's just to differentiate that I'm not trying to outshine you with this character. This character is going to have their own goals. He's my character. He's going to have his own goals and ambitions and secrets but it's not to. I'm not trying to steal the spotlight. I do that better as a player than as
think it's
the
an
game
amazing
master. As Phil
We'll
knows.
see, we'll see.
Max made a good comment. I agree with your comment, Max. That yes, when I'm playing, there is a difference. There's a slight difference. When I play, I say I'm 100% in. 100% in. I only have to be in one. So it's easy for me to do that. When I'm a game master, I have to be in hundreds. So as a simple way to differentiate, yes, I use third person. But as soon as I start talking, I guess what I'm saying is I role play the same way in that even if I'm using third person for that character at that moment, they're still going to be anchoring themselves in the world with some kind of comment about their physical presence in the world, either where they are or where they're heading or what they're holding or who they're punching or what they're drinking, and then a comment that I make as the character. So you see what I mean? And that's what I ask players to do. I want a comment of where you are, and I want to know what you're doing or what you're saying or whatever it is. And I want that from you in character. So in that sense, it's the same. Yes, there's some subtle differences. That third person one you rightfully point out because you're always thinking about language, bilang and all that. I know, but it's still, the essence is still the same, is what I'm saying. And there was a comment, Nerdy Ogre, they're just dogpiling me now. I don't know. I feel like
Wake up.
you're just so mean, all you guys. But he made a comment that the reason why you want to try being a game master, even though it can be scary, especially if you're going to put your game online, which is one of the most terrifying things you can do. If you, yes, you should still do it, because when it succeeds, it's not succeeding just for one character. It's like the whole thing succeeds. Like you celebrate, like it's like one member has this wonderful thing, and then all members of the group relish in it. Like it's that kind of feeling. So yeah, I agree. There's an even bigger payoff, dopamine hit for the game master when a session goes well. Except if you're Phil, because Phil's first inclination is, well, that was just dog. I think that was his first comment was like, well, what a dog session. That was awful. Like, what are you talking about? It was fantastic. Dog.
Yeah. It's for me as a GM, I'm trying. I don't know how to get immersed in the game. I just kind of like listen to you guys. I'm just like reacting, but I'm not. I guess I am immersed in it. But I would say I'm trying to play the tone a lot more than the everything else that's going on. I'm trying to like try to get people thinking certain ways. But yeah, with characters also. Okay. But I mean,
that's a good point. Like, that is a difference. Yeah.
GM Cody invented the personality of my characters that I had already established in the game. So it's like, how do you immerse yourself when they're just like, when they're messing with you?
Yeah, you got to have some mental flexibility there.
Seriously, Cody does that in my Star Trek game.
Awesome.
Like, oh my God. Cody's character will just, like, an admiral could walk into sick bay, but listen, Lieutenant, and like you just ignore people and disrespect them. And then me as the storyteller or the GM or the narrator or whatever you want to call me, at that point in time, I have to think, how is this person reacting to this? Yeah. Like, they're being completely dismissed. He's misgendering people left, right, and center. It was really funny when there was a hermaphroditic species, like it's, but that's where the fun is. Mm-hmm. That's where the enjoyment is, and I don't see a need not to embrace that fun. And I don't see a need not to enjoy that fun.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
But that's why, forever GMs are forever GMs, because we get it. We get our brains click to it. The people who always want to tell their story the way they want, they eventually get frustrated and stop playing.
Yeah, get burnt out.
They get burnt out. Exactly.
Yeah. I'd really like to see if maybe one day, Bear, something that we started doing is kind of describing like the process that we did, like what our prep was like. I'd really like to see behind the curtain of the Bear world. I know you've done a lot of world building sessions, but I don't know that you've ever talked about, I just ran this session.
You mean like an after-action report?
Yeah, this is the prep I did. This is the little moments in here where I had to improvise.
No, my brain's too Swiss cheese to do that, man. I'd have to rewatch the session live and then like react to my own video, and that'd just be cringe.
Yeah. One thing that with the dance stuff, say like putting games online make recap for next session so much easier. That's true because you
Yep.
can see what's happening, especially if there's a gap between your play.
Yep.
But then in my case, what's very hard is that I have to listen to myself, which I fucking hate.
Yes, I know.
That's really good to do, though.
Oh, it's so cringy. Oh,
It is. You can do it at double speed. I've learned that really helps. But you listening to your own session as a player or as a game master, I think it's really helpful because you look back and say, "Wow, I messed that. Oh, I didn't like. Next time, I'm going to do something different there." It's just that continual improvement. Oh, there's
I get what you're saying.
on your best in Dice
Danny,
Tales
you
is
want the
here.
link?
Everyone behave.
Oh, I'm
Put the
sorry.
link
We
in the
have to behave. I apologize. I'm so sorry. You know what, Phil? Though I'm going to say this: challenge accepted.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
I will pick one of my sessions in the future, and I will do a live video recap of the session. I'll react to my own session, and discuss
helpful.
what it was from my point of view as the GM, what I was thinking, how I was reacting to the players, what I thought was really good, what I missed. Because every Star Trek session, out of the 3 games, I have to watch the last session before we play the next one, so I can remember everything that happened.
Already doing it.
Right? And there are moments, I'll agree with Crispy on this. There are moments where I go, oh shit, I didn't hear when they said that because 2 people were talking, and that was a really cool thing I could have built on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are you in, like 7 games now or something? Ridiculous, right?
Okay. I have the 3 Star Trek games, the one's on hold and being replaced with the Palladium Fantasy game.
You're about to flick me off.
future.
I can tell.
So there's 3. I've got a once-a-month Palladium game, I've got a Friday night Palladium game, and I've got a Saturday tabletop game. So 6 games. All on 2-week rotation or one on a 1-month rotation.
Yeah. So you should get, if you do that, I would recommend, obviously do whatever you want, but get like a someone that can interview you.
Oh
You know
God.
what I mean? So like you'll watch it together with someone, and then they'll be like, "What are you thinking here? Like, what's the?" What was your
That sounds
preview?
very Mike Wallace. I'm not sure I'm down for that.
It is
Wallace
helpful. Yeah, because people will say, "Well, why did you do that?" Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. I always do that.
I might do it with a
'Cause I'm the
live stream and
best.
let the live stream interview me. But
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
an
I
idea.
can sit down with one person and just be like, "Well,
No, that's what I mean. Dude.
I was thinking in this moment that one of the things you learn, and this is something Art Bell taught me because I have the same problem he has, which is having
Your
studied
voice is
journalism,
too awesome.
having worked in broadcast and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a good interview, right?
Yeah.
If someone tries to interview me halfway through the interview, I'm going to turn it into an interview of them, and I'm going to go back to my comfort zone of interviewing them because I don't think I'm that interesting. Just the way it is. So I would be very out of my comfort zone doing something like that. But with the live chat asking questions, that's a different beast completely. That would be actually something I can handle probably.
Fair enough.
For us, I think we have like kind of disadvantage that we do mostly one shot, I guess, or like 2 shot or
Yeah.
whatever. So when we do go back on those sessions, they're like kind of done deal, right? They're wrapped up, so we can go with the player and say like, what happened here? Like, what did you have? Like, did they have a plan for that? Did we just go astray? So like, we can do like this kind of like a discussion with the player without revealing stuff that is going to be impactful in the future. I don't know if you know what I mean. And we're probably going to do one on next Saturday for the Switch game that I ran, right?
Yeah.
One of those like 40 tweaker.
Just go through it, pull it apart.
We call them now. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, Phil. Don't even say what you called it. But yeah, the other thing too about GM as a player, this is I would like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. There's there are some games now that have complete player-facing rolling. So like the players do all of the dice rolling. And I struggle a little bit with those because I like rolling the dice. Like as a game master, I still like rolling the dice. I like the random element of outcome. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Like, do you see a lot of these games? I may be a little bit of hyperbole here, but there's a modern game movement, I guess, where all of the rolling goes to the player side, and the game master rolls nothing ever.
Like,
how do you feel about that?
It's designed around the game master not rolling.
Yeah. What does everyone else feel about that? I've said I'm not a real fan. I kind of like to roll the dice from time to time.
Of the trend.
Not trend. I'm not a fan either. Like, it's a big turn off from you. What about you, Bear?
I don't care.
You don't care?
I used to not like it, and then I played Marvel Saga, and as soon as I played Marvel Saga and realized I did nothing except provide what was going on and refill the hands of cards they were playing, and all the villains, everything the villains did, the players reacted to, as opposed to the villains acting against them. It was a real relief for me, and I quite enjoyed it. I do it in D&D. I do player defense, active defense. Instead of me rolling an attack, I have the players roll a defense instead, which works really well, because then all the luck, all the excitement is on their side, and they're the ones always rolling the dice in that regard. I'll still roll damage and stuff, but they're rolling the attacks, they're rolling the defenses. It's all from it's their world now. It's them doing their thing. And for me, I like that, because
is that a preference then, or do you not?
It's becoming one. I'm not doing it in Palladium. In Palladium, I'm still, rolling dice and stuff like that. But I prefer ultimately player-facing roles, because I think it keeps them engaged. They're always rolling dice. They're always involved in the process, and they are the masters of their own fate at that point in time. It's not my hot dice fuck them up. It's their shitty dice fuck them up.
Yeah.
And,
but do you feel like it can be frustrating for players, because every time they get hit, it's like because they roll shitty, right? It's always like, it's satisfying when you hit somebody because you roll well and you do something good. When somebody else do something well, okay, it's not, but now it's always like oh man, I failed to defend myself, right? So doesn't that feel like
I haven't seen that reaction from the players I played with.
In
but I mean,
D&D that already happens though with saves. Like it's pretty much the same.
With saves, but save don't
it's just another form of saving throw, right?
Yeah.
It's just a defensive save at that point in time. It's just them saving versus the attack, I guess. But I have no issue with it.
I do not have passionate feelings on this, Crispy.
You don't?
No.
Yeah.
I just haven't run enough of them that I'm comfortable. I've run Numenera and a little bit of
this one, so
the Strange,
reciprocate it.
But that's all just the same mechanic. And
was Xenoplicity that? Or does it have contested rules?
Xenoplicity is 100% player facing.
Yeah.
So it just there's more of that. Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm not a fan of regarding that as well is like, because I like to keep mechanic a lot in the background. Like if you watch the game I play, like like I told beforehand, like the player, like if your character is trying to do something, I trust you. You can just roll for it, and then go straight to your description of depending on the roll, right? So then the dice rolls still happen, but you don't have to say like, oh, I tried to do that, roll. Oh, but then this happened, right? No, just like you want to try to do something, roll, and then if you fail, I can just but I'm with player that I can trust, right? I wouldn't do that with anybody. Obviously.
I don't quite understand what you're saying.
What do you mean?
Well, what he was saying,
So
if I can paraphrase what,
yeah.
So what he was saying. Remember in Pendragon, you have these personality things, and they were opposites, right? They all always added up to 20, but you would roll that first, and then that would determine whether or not you get a bonus or a penalty or something on your next roll.
Oh, you're saying trust the player to.
So you trust the players to roll, and then by how they play that, then they will. I mean, then that'll let him know whether it was success or not, rather than just have it retconned after the fact.
But even also, like if you try to shoot somebody, right? You're gonna have to roll for that, right? So you can just like make your roll, and then if you succeed, because it's also like pretty easy to tell, like, well, then you can just say like, you can go straight to narration, like, oh, I shoot him, I hit him in the back, like, and then you can tell me like, your damage and stuff like that. But you don't have to say like, oh, I tried to shoot him, then we pause, you make your roll, oh, but I hit the wall. No, if you fail, right, you can just say like, oh, I pull out my gun, I tried to shoot him, I hit the wall. It's very fluid, right? And you can even do it like when we're resolving like the previous section for the other character. It's going to be your turn next, you're going to do that. You can just like make your roll and go straight to it. So it keeps the thing like flowing very fast. But like, again,
it's true.
Don't do that with any kind of like with anybody. Like you have to trust, you have to be, because otherwise they're going to change the action, stuff like that, right? Just like it's very
to address what Doc Flamingo said in the chat. I only use it for attacks, or when someone's trying to do something to the player overtly. If it's secret rolls, I still make lots of secret rolls. I'll still make lots of hidden stuff. But I only use the player facing stuff when it's going to affect them. It's going to hurt them, or it's going to immobilize them, or it's going to charm them, or whatever the case may be. That's the thing I do at that point in time. But I also do it to the NPCs. Instead of having my NPCs make a saving throw, I give them a target number for their spell, and then they make the roll. They cast to see if they can overcome the defenses of the person, as opposed to me rolling a saving throw for the opponent.
Right.
So that's it for me, right? But the dice still decide the fate of everything at that point in time.
Yeah. But what I was talking about, like the way that I let the player roll, I say like I can see that with the player facing roll, that could get in the way a bit more, because now like I would have said like I'd extract the monster, but then I have to tell the player to roll, make the roll, right? Instead of like just the roll being made. So it wouldn't necessarily mesh with the style I like, where like it's very like I said, I don't play with the
Well,
randos.
It would literally be like this. All right, MrMax, the ogre comes at you. He swings his battle axe. You roll.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I get my shield up and I deflect the sword. Now I take my attack and I stab him in the stomach. Like it can still be dynamic like that.
That's
the
yeah, but
Cypher
but what I
system
mean, like,
does that.
but you see, like that's the thing. Like, if I were like the ogre come at you with his battle axe, I wouldn't say try to swing. I wouldn't go like he tried to swing at you, make a roll, and then but he fail. I would have rolled already and say come at you with the battle axe. The roll is
No, I see
pre-made,
your
so we don't
point.
have
I see
Yeah.
your point. I just don't necessarily
Yeah,
subscribe or
that's-
unsubscribe to it. I just do something slightly different. That's all.
Yeah, and just like I'm
Well,
trying to
when
squeeze
you-
like all those little plays. I can squeeze something like to make the game flow, like be more like I have less retcon, I have less of those. Like I try to squeeze every little thing I can. I don't know why.
to kind of
What's
like
different?
address what Doc Flipping was even talking about, though, like if you have a stealthy assassin sneaking around
Mhm.
and the players don't know
Yeah.
about it, how do you make the player roll for that?
Yeah, you
You know
don't.
what I mean? Yeah,
You
Yeah.
don't in that case.
but
you
you
know.
should still. Don't you want to give the assassin a chance to fail their stealth check?
To be
Absolutely.
honest,
Which we at the last second you could say, okay, give me a perception
That's what I'm
check.
saying.
That's something
Yeah.
that always bothered me about those stealth roll. People say, "Oh, because you don't
Yeah.
know if you're stealthy or not." You
Yeah,
fucking
you
know.
do.
Have you ever tried to stealth anywhere?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you do.
can hear yourself. You know if
Yeah.
you're like. Anyway, I used to be a bad guy. Like, and you try to sneak in somewhere. You realize, like, man, I'm fucking making too much noise, but it's too late. Now
Yeah.
you have to run.
Mhm.
It's like-
I did that same like what you had Doc Flamingo's last comment up. I ran that
Yeah.
same experiment once where I did all the rolling. Yeah, never again. It was not.
Oh, yeah?
So as much as I say I like rolling dice, I don't want to roll all the dice.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just seemed, I don't know.
I feel like the
I
players
remember
don't love that.
I remember the first time I saw Dan Harmon's D&D game that he
Oh,
was
yeah.
streaming,
Yeah.
and the DM rolled all the dice, and I was just like, "What is this?" And then later I saw an interview where Dan Harmon explained it. He goes, "Well, that's how I was taught to play D&D by my DM." So he had a super control freak DM who rolled all the dice, and it's like, good God, how boring would that be for the players? Like,
Yeah.
just oof,
I mean, I could get behind a player facing dice mechanic completely if I had the right players. But the problem that I've seen in other games, not so much with my current group and not online, is that you'd have that one or two players that had read they've done the right thing. They've read the manual, they understand it. And then they're just, without any prompting from me, they're going to suddenly roll. Well, the classic is I'm going to roll diplomacy or something like that. And then they do something where it would be an automatic failure based on the description of what they were trying to do. But because they've already rolled the dice, it's like, oh yeah, but I rolled, I got a 20. Oh. And I'm like, no, okay, the social
Now he has
convention.
to give me his car.
The social convention, yeah, exactly. Like the social convention in my table up until recently has been, I'll call for the roll. Like I don't want you just to suddenly start rolling dice. Like, okay, because I don't want you to think that you can suddenly fly. Well, I'll just swing my arms really fast, and then I'll fly. Right? I can do that. I've got this skill. No, you're breaking the social convention that we have around the table, because this is not something that you can't just attempt. What am I trying to say?
I think
you
there's
can
a-
attempt anything, but sometimes you'll attempt something that is so ludicrous that I'm not going to call a dice roll for it, or it's something so easy that I'm not going to penalize you by calling a dice roll. Like you already know how to do this. You don't have to roll dice. So anyway.
Go ahead, Will.
Rant over.
Go ahead, Phil, and then I want
I
to
appreciate that. So I was going to say, I don't see a whole lot of juice in the squeeze here, Mr. Max. If you think about your game, because you kind of let us do what you're talking about,
Mhm.
where we pre-roll and then describe. Rick kind of doesn't do that in a few spots, like when he's wrestling with the rifle and stuff. Like he's like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and wrestle the rifle, and then he rolls the die and he fails it, and he's like, but I mess up and break it
Yeah,
off.
but Rick
And it
also
wasn't. It
missed.
didn't really seem super immersion breaking or anything like that. It felt like
No,
was
it doesn't.
fine.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big. It's
So
not
I'm
a
just
big
wondering,
thing, right?
like, is there a big benefit to doing the
Maybe not.
pre-roll? What is the benefit? I don't know. It's a
Speed.
little bit, just a tiny
Yeah.
little bit of
Yeah,
speed.
I did. Now I got 2 points to counter Crispy on. No, for me, I only make a call for a roll when it matters.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm
And it's
saying.
one of the things I can't stand is DMs who make you roll for everything because they just want the comedy of seeing you fail a simple task.
Tie your shoes, open the
You know,
car
like
door.
it's if you're playing a thief or a rogue in the modern vernacular, I assume you're good at stealth, and I assume most of the guards aren't going to hear you. And is it going to benefit the game to suddenly have some goofball guard hear you, and now we have to deal with all that bullshit? Or is it better that you get past him like you do? Get over the simple wall without having an endless climbing thing where I keep blowing my climbing checks and I'm scrambling. Like, okay, I get it. It's
Oh, yeah,
Monty
I hate
Python.
that.
It's hilarious. But get inside the castle, and then we're going to start making rolls because now the stakes are higher. That's when things become dramatic. The tension is up. It's higher now.
Yeah.
I also told those guys like you don't have to roll for everything. If something
That's
is so
right.
obvious, you're gonna make it just
Yeah.
I told them
So-
as well just if you think like there's a chance, and you think it's but the whole guy at GM as well, right? So they can make that call.
It's something I learned working in casting in the film industry, which is they assume you know how to act when you show up for the audition. The audition isn't about whether or not you can act. It's about whether or not you're the right part for the role, whether you're a pain in the ass to work with. There's a lot of other factors, but they assume you know how to act. Well, I assume you know how to thief. I assume you know how to climb a wall. I assume you can climb a fucking tree. I'm not going to make you, unless the tension's high, you're being shot at, you're running, or whatever, then we're going to have different effects because there's dramatic tension in play there. But if it's just
totally
routine, mundane things, come on.
Yeah,
I love automatic successes. Pretty much in D&D, if you have a proficiency in a thing, I almost never make you roll it. It's just like, okay, if you don't have proficiency, go for it. Go fail something.
Well, unless there's a
unless it's critical.
a value to the fail or a hindrance to the fail or whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And if it's dramatic or there's stress upon you or there's tension and therefore you're not functioning on your A game because you might be distracted by the fact that ogre's getting an awful lot closer. I can smell his breath now, that type of stuff matters. That's where you make the rolls for me.
Yeah.
Other people,
I wanted to address like what Doc Flamingo was saying there, like about the stealth again, because like that's like a pet peeve of mine. Like, yes, you can like you would notice if you like, oftentimes in stealth, there's like two components, right? If you roll like in Pendragon, for example, like because the system like you have to roll under your skill, but as high as you can. So if you roll under your skill, but you roll very low, you succeeded. But if a guard roll his awareness and his awareness roll would be higher than yours, then he would still catch you, right?
Yeah.
In D&D, the same thing. You can roll and you roll like a 10, right? Did you succeed? You kind of know you're not the most stealthy guy around. But if a guard got a good perception roll or a good perception score, he would catch you. So there's like those two components. You kind of know if you're being noisy. You don't know how aware or perceptive the opposition is, right? So there's that, right?
Yeah.
But you know something,
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, but you're not wrong. But for me, it always boils down to this: if let's say I'm watching this game as a movie, or I'm reading it as a book, or it's a comic, is there going to be a lot of dramatic excitement and payoff for me if I have to watch Crispy's character climb a wall and struggle with it? If there's no stakes? No. So why would I do that in a game? I want Crispy to look cool. I want the other characters to go, God damn, man, Crispy's the best fucking thief ever, until the moment comes. And now we're going to see just how good Crispy is, and the dice will determine his fate and how he positions himself and what he does. That's where it becomes exciting and interesting.
Yep. It's when there's pressure. It's under pressure that But like I'm not saying like it's always gonna change your game and stuff like that. It's just something I like to do because, like I said, like I like to play with player that I can trust, and as much as I can, like just we're just gonna roll for the flow. We'll see what happens. I like those descriptions that just like flow straight to it, so we can just like go from you do one thing and then the next character do one thing, and it's always like there's always something happening, and we don't have to pause and do the
Mhm.
mechanical resolution. The mechanical resolution is done as we play, like in the background, right? And that's something also that I want to talk about. It's linked to the topic of the GM is a player because it's linked to role playing being a game. And I'm not just saying like role playing game being a game. I'm saying role playing being a game, right? In the sense that because it's improvised, because it's on the fly, because we riff of one another, because we don't know where it's going, because there's a dice roll that sometimes like, oh, I want to do something, but now like it doesn't work, so I have to improvise with that, right? Just the role playing aspect is a game as well. It's like that's a big thing I often talk about. Like, and just like I don't like this dichotomy about like, oh, there's the role playing. Like people make this distinction. There's the role playing, and then there's the game aspect. I think if you make this distinction, you're missing the point that the role playing aspect is not distinct from the game aspect. It's part of the game aspect. The fact that we build this story together, that we riff of one another, we create this thing, and then I have to react. All of a sudden, I have to come up with something as the GM because the player did something I didn't expect. That's part of the game. That's part of the play experience.
If you play it that way, it's much more of a game for a GM, I think. Like,
I agree
because
with
the
that.
GM is like
Mm-hmm.
playing it,
I
got all these
agree with that
plates
100%.
Yeah.
But that's when players also get into their characters and says, "Hey, I swing to hit." I jump up on the table and I try and kick them in the face, and they get a little more descriptive. It becomes more alive. It becomes
Yep.
more dynamic. It becomes more engaged.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want more of that.
So
and I
I
want to
wanted
bring
to-
more of that too as the game master, because I can
Yeah.
get guilty of being that same kind of floating head.
He attacks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I
Attacks.
wanted to
He hits
present
you.
the idea of if Bear is running through a castle in your game, and he
Well, Bear ain't running anywhere because
See.
he's got bad knees. Bear's character is
it's
running.
power
too.
walk, it's a power walk with a cane maybe, and he's like he sees down the hall. He wants to spawn the rival guard. Like,
Mhm.
are you as a 4D GM like allowing spawning an NPC like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's
I
like,
would.
I
see,
see
I
the
wouldn't
guy.
spawn something. I would suggest, and like now, because I talked to Cody about it after, and he goes, "Yeah, if you had an idea like that, feel free to suggest it to me in the private chat." You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that would be a cool thing to go. Hey, would it be cool if that guy I had the thing with the duel maybe showed up? And then the GM gets to make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
forcing the GM to react to my wants because
But
now
also-
maybe I'm going to run into that guy later when we're out
But
in
there's
the
also
world and we're on the run.
there's,
and
there's,
that's
there's
even
also
more
like kind of way to wiggle out of it in character, right? You can just say like, "Oh man, is that a motherfucker that was like giving grief?"
Yeah,
And then,
yeah,
like,
you
when
can-
you
that's
are
what I would-
away, And
that's
then when you oh, okay, man, I thought you were
Yeah.
somebody else, right? The GM.
That's
so
what
you're
I-
kind
that's
of like
what I would do.
cracking open the door and letting the GM.
I see
open
it. I see
I
that
see your
guy
point.
walking in. Wait,
Yeah.
is that guy
kinda
before?
Like, you can, and if you're especially with a GM that is that you're used to play with, that is used to this kind of play,
Yeah.
you see that he's giving him like offering him something, you can take it like you're offering him a bait
Yeah,
or a
that's good.
right? And it goes both
And
ways.
I see that. I just as my hang up, and it is my hang up, is that
Yeah.
because I'm a forever GM, I don't ever want to come off when I am getting the opportunity to play in someone's game like I'm backseat GMing them.
Yeah.
So I'm very hesitant to do stuff like that because I want it to be
Yeah.
their game that I'm interacting with as opposed to me suggesting ideas to them. And that just comes down to comfort, ego, all those types of things. So
Sorry, just to clarify what you mean. You're saying when you're a GM,
when I'm
or
a
when
player,
you're the player,
when I'm the
you want-
player.
Okay, I got you.
I don't want to feel or be perceived as I'm trying to backseat GM their game.
I
I
got you.
understand.
I want them to run their game, and I'm going to react as my character would react, and my character will involve the situation. Now, Cody has let me know I can send him ideas if it's really cool. I'm still not going to do it very often because I, again, have that I don't want to backseat GM thing. But that's a me thing, and that's a very personal viewpoint for me.
But
Yeah.
I see where you're coming from, because even when I started like playing with Rick and stuff like that in this Castle Crusade game last year, like sometimes I didn't dare, like, and I was like much more like trying to probe the world and let Rick do his thing and stuff like that, because like I'm new in this group, right? Now like we've been playing for a while together, we're much more comfortable in adding stuff because we know like it's kind of part of our social contract. People were mentioning that earlier, right? That go ahead, like give me for some juice. I'm gonna use it, right? I'm gonna try to use it, and if it goes too far, like Like I was talking about the example, like Eli in the game of the witch. His character, like, you just in the hood, and his character said like, "Oh, I pick up a journal of the girl, and I'm starting to browse through it." And I didn't say there was a journal there, but like, why not? I'm gonna fucking run with it. But I got nothing. So like, oh, you see through the middle, like a bunch of pages have been torn off, right? I just make that up as a fucking like way to get out of it.
And Crispy's like, you're closing that door,
and then
Max.
like, I say, "What's the journal?" And I'm rubbing carbon, like a charcoal on it to see what it was written on the last page. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to come up with something else. And then they fucking bring another hook, right, for the game later on, right?
But, it's much easier to, when you have absolutely no prep, to not care if someone spawns a guy.
But it's a spice, not a sauce.
Yeah, it's just I mean, that really does come down to what is the contract, like what in that game, is it okay to do that sort of thing? In our style that we're experimenting with and practicing, that kind of what you describe, of like where you down the hallway and there he is, that's the guy, that's the six-fingered man or whatever it is. Then that's a player that's putting themselves. Putting an obstacle in front of themselves, and I'm totally fine with that. Like that's absolutely fine. Now, it could be that is not the six-fingered man. In which case, as he steps into the light, you said he was the six-fingered man, but as he steps into the light, no, it turns out it's not a man at all. It's whatever. But
it's a lion.
My mother. What?
Yeah, that's right.
What is she?
And regarding of the backseat
GMing,
like that's the thing as well. Like when we play together, guys here, like we understand that we have like this kind of like we share the role of GM a bit, right? We're willing to let go of it, like, but that's part of like the style that we enjoy and this thing we do. Like, and if I were to play in somebody else's game that doesn't like that, I would have to respect that, right? Yeah. Just like exactly, you have to understand, like you have to understand what's expected of you, where the limitations are and stuff like that, right?
I see that. And just for me, I believe that players have a role, GMs have a role, and each of them doing their role makes the game better. But when they try taking over each other's roles, I mean, people get mad if the GM starts telling the player what they think or starts telling the player what they do.
I was about to say that. I like to blend them a bit, but actually, like, I fucking hate.
There's hard lines.
I just want the GM to give up stuff. I don't want the
exactly.
So I don't want players telling me what my NPCs do, or I don't want them telling me what happens. It's like, no, you're here to experience the game and make your decisions that I will react to, then you react to, and then we start going back and forth.
Yeah, that's kind of a gray zone with the GM or the non-heroic
characters.
They the GM does kind of want to have ownership of those.
But where I would draw the line with this,
them in a hall. So.
Yeah, if you let's stay with this example. So, Bear thinks, "Hey, this would be really epic if I in the hall is this guy." Okay, he spawns him in the hall. That's his creative license. We decided beforehand. Yeah, you could do that sort of stuff. That's fine. He does not, from that point over, have any control over where that character is and what that character does next. He put him there. But I like to think that we have some pretty hard lines. One of them is, I never move your character. You move your character. I never tell your character how your character responds to something unless it's something like some kind of magical effect or something like that, and it's destroying your sanity or something. Then you'll have to role play that. I'll just tell you that your sanity is damaged, and then you will role play what that looks like. But that's a hard and fast line. Like we try, like when we go over our game sessions, we spend a lot of time looking at, was there any movement violation? Did the game master move your character instead of you moving your own character?
There's rules. Role-playing.
There's rules, and there's a rule there. So that's where I would draw the line.
All you roll dice and all you damage. There's also rules about, like, I'm not, as a GM, I'm not going to tell you what your character does. I'm not going to tell you what your character says or what your character feel, right? That's your, you don't touch the NPC. Mundane stuff in the world, I don't care if you conjure it and stuff like that. And again, the character can be mistaken. It's easy, like, you can say, like I said, like, you just, is that like this guy?
But you got to be careful too, because if the character's mistaken too many times, the player's just going to shut down and stop doing it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So you got to read the room here. And if you've just if you're saying no in a more tangential way, you're still just saying, well, actually, no. And be careful with that. Yeah.
And I say, like, I usually say, like, roll with it, unless there's a good reason not to. Like if you had other plan, like this character is not gonna be him now because like I have other plan for him later on, right? Or somewhere else doing something.
Then you turn
else.
him around and run him out of the hall. Like just he runs.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
No, but I mean, like if he's like doing something else, like during this time or whatever.
Yeah, at that moment in time, he's actually. I know he's with the necromancer preparing the zombie army. You know, like,
there could be reason for him not to like valid reason for him not to be here, not to be there. But if there's not,
I'm probably gonna.
Why not?
If I'm
let's
saving,
go see where that's going. Sorry,
if I'm saving him for later, I'm probably gonna make a confrontation right there, and then like have the ceiling cave in, and then they're separated or something.
Sure, there's lots of things you can do, absolutely. But I think ultimately what you hit upon, and what you hit upon, and got to get the fucking screen right. It all comes down to the comfort level between the players and the GM. It all comes down to what's been established as a proper thing. Dude, how many fucking times have we run a game where the players have gone, oh my God, if we open the door and such and such is there, and that'll just make it, and you just as a GM go, that's way fucking better than what I had.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like let's do that, and you do it.
That's right.
So it's the same type of thing.
It is.
It's just, like I said, I carry a stigma. I carry a perception issue where I don't want to be seen as backseat GMing. It's just something that I have an issue with. I've been in the game where I've had the GM try and run my game and try and backseat GM me, and it's like, Jesus Christ, man, stop. Just stop and play your character, please. So it's a fine line. Absolutely, it is my issue, which I accept, but it also comes down to the comfort level. I think we can agree on that.
There's something also.
Well, we've solved all the problems in the world.
Yeah, that's it. That's right.
Shauner in Grandma was talking about like role playing isn't acting, and acting isn't like role playing, and like.
Right.
And I agree with that in the sense like when you act, like you're playing a role, by definition and stuff like that. But it's not role playing in the same sense as like a role playing game. When I say like role playing is a game, because like, well, I know sometimes you improvise, you don't always follow the script, but you still have like a direction, where the scene's gonna go. Like it's not gonna end in a way different way because you have a script generally to follow. You might not say every line of dialogue perfectly and stuff like that. You might add up stuff, but the scene is gonna go in a certain way that's predetermined. So there's no play in the same sense.
They're very much related to each other.
I agree.
And when you lose yourself in a character, it's the same thing. There's a great anecdote from Galaxy Quest wherein they were doing a scene and Tim Allen got very, very, very emotional and very uncomfortable all of a sudden. He said to the director, I'm not enjoying these feelings I'm having. I would like to go back to my trailer, please. And the director said, all right, go. And he left. And Alan Rickman went, it looks like he just discovered acting. And that can happen at the table. You can get so into the character that you touch that exact same point. And let me tell you, as someone who's done both sides of this, when you touch that same point, the synergy is palpable. It changes you.
That's also something I'm a big advocate here. Like I think like I said, you should like hijack your mindset to put the mindset of the character in your head, right? And there should be like emotional alignment. Like that's when you can really like reach the crescendo, right, of your role playing. Now there's emotional alignment between your character and and your what?
I thought you said something else. Go ahead.
What?
Emotional hymen.
What?
Alignment. Emotional alignment.
When you've reached the emotional hymen, I'm like, what the fuck?
Alignment, Phil. Alignment. Stay with us, Phil.
Sorry. Someone asked me what I heard.
I got a dirty mouth.
I'm not gonna lie.
RPG Grandma had a good comment. I like that. I responded to it.
Grandma.
It says always let your GM run the physics of the game. I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's another hard line. You don't get to change the physics of the world.
I guess.
Yeah.
I'll let you. I will let players decide what the weather's like. I'm okay with that. I look out the window. Oh, rain again. That's fine.
Yeah.
Unless it matters. But then if it matters, I'm going to have established the weather beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless I said that we're in the middle of a drought or there's a heat wave or
there's a snowstorm
or whatever, or it's in the middle of a snowstorm. If I don't say it, then it's blank canvas. I'm okay with it.
Maybe I was picturing. Maybe I didn't specify it. It wasn't too important. I was specifying like as a sunny day, but now the character says rain again. All right, let's go with it.
Let's go with it. Sure.
Why not?
Complication.
That's where it's go. It's interesting.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's also not necessary to say I'm going to decide the weather as the player. It's also able to say what's the weather like. You can ask. I am not opposed to the idea of asking the GM questions any more than I am opposed to the GM asking players questions.
Yeah,
There's nothing
that's a
wrong
difference
with that.
between us. We don't.
Yeah, it's a difference, and that's someplace where we will never see eye to eye. I understand what you guys are talking about. I understand what you're doing.
We don't want disembodied voices. That's right.
Also, even also like one thing, one sticking point I have, like, is like people say like, oh, asking question to GM. Like, I often say, like, I say it's not necessary. What?
Kick me.
It's not necessary, because if you want to know what the weather is, like I often say, like, what do you do in life if you want to know what the weather is?
Yeah,
look
out the window. You look on your phone app.
Check your phone.
So you can just say your character do that,
and then I can tell you.
You don't have to ask the GM. You know,
no.
Think about it, right? If when you act in real life, when you like, and not acting like acting like making action, right? Taking action.
Yeah.
In real life, like that's how you interact with the world, and you can just say your character does that, and then there you go. You just fucking got rid of the question to the GM. There's nobody to ask.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I'm just saying, for me, I don't mind having a back and forth with the players outside of character. I don't mind it at all. I'm going to ask you, what's your bonus to hit? I'm going to ask you what your armor class is. I'm going to ask you questions like that.
Those are mechanical stuff that sometimes, like, you need to. I try to minimize them as much as possible, but sometimes those can happen. Like, it's still part of the game aspect. But like when you say, like, don't ask questions to the GM, like, or the opposite, like, you don't need, like, it's those questions about the world and stuff like that. You want to know something about the world. You want to know if the door is locked. Go check. Like, what are you asking? Or is the door locked? How do you know if the door is locked? You go fucking jiggle the handle, right?
But there you go. That's the thing. Like, if a player says to me, is the door locked? I go, I don't know. Did you try the door? Like, I'll ask them that question back, because it's in a world where there may be a trap on that door. And if they try the door, suddenly there's a trap. So you can't just, go, well, you try the door and the trap opens. Like, there's got to be a little bit of information.
That's what that's why that's a
player mistake. But
that's a player, in my mind, that's a player mistake, because the player didn't properly anchor themselves in the world. They didn't say, I walk to the door, put my hand on it, put my ear to the door, turn the handle. They didn't do any of that. They just said, Chris, is the door locked? I'm like, dude, again, don't think of me as there. I'm not there. Yeah. You're in the room. The walls are closing in. Okay. You do that. You go and interact, anchor yourself in the world, and then interact with the world. I'll tell you how the world reacts back, but don't just say, Chris, can you please tell me what the, no.
That's a little pedantic to say that, Chris, can you please tell me? Like, that's
no. But when players, I don't think it's pedantic, because I think the way I used to play and the way that I see a lot of people play, they will just ask. They'll just ask a series of questions, and then one question after another, without any statement of their character in the world. Like, how would they be getting that information? How are they collecting that information in the world? They just ask this. Well, what about this? Or what about this? What about this?
Okay, so I think where the disagreement's happening here, not the disagreement, but the breakdown, is that we're both seeing opposite extremes. You're seeing the one where they're acting like Sesame Street kids, asking questions about everything before they try anything, and I'm seeing the one where they're telling me exactly everything in the world themselves. So between the two is the middle point, which is my place where I live, where that works. And I understand what you're saying, which is, I expect my players not to go on a series of 20 questions to cross a room. And at the same time, I don't expect them to tell me what's going on in the room. You know what I mean?
In our style, we don't tell the game master what's going on in the room. Like, that is not our style. Our style is just to, it's just to say where you are, and then what you're doing in the, and then the game master is still important. You can't remove the game master. He still has to say what, what is the outcome.
I feel like this whole style, like, is super fueled on the idea of trust and vetting your players and stuff. Because, like, even you said, Bear, you're like, if they ask me, is the door locked, then you give them shit. But if your player never asks you that, then you never give them shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's not giving them shit. That's the thing. I don't see it as giving them shit to say, did you try opening the door? That's not giving them shit. Well, then you're oversensitive, because that's not shit, buddy. That's just asking them a question.
Because I'm saying you're giving them shit for some reason.
Well, I don't like someone accusing me of something that's not true.
Well,
I'm being hyperbolic.
That's fair enough.
Our style really is, setting the expectation with both game master and player that the player is going to. Oh, the cat has arrived. The player is going to be careful about staying in character, so they're in character though as much as possible. Now, it's never going to be 100%, but as much as possible in character, and that means if you want to know if something is in the chest, then you have to describe yourself going to the chest and interacting with the chest. And then depending on what happens at the chest, there may be something in there, there may not be something in there. We don't go so far as to say, I open the chest and find there it is, a scout class spaceship, just what I needed. Perfect. Like, it's just like, that's silly. That's a 12-year-old game. Like, that's not a,
I 100% agree with you on that. But also, if the player's saying what's in the chest, and I say, did you open the chest? I'm not giving the player shit. I'm asking them, well, did you open the chest? Because maybe there's a trap. Maybe it's a mimic. Maybe it's got an explosive attack. Maybe it's an illusion. You know what I mean?
So that's that's the thing. What if you have a player that say like what's in the chest? You know, I don't want to rebuke the player, but like I wouldn't rebuke them as well. Like I would tell them, well, how do we know if there's something in the chest?
So the way I would handle this,
the same thing as like
it's a good question, because I don't think it's appropriate to rebuke a player. Like I don't think that's
appropriate.
Talking
to them like a child isn't the way either. Well, how
no, it's not.
How do we know it's in a chest? That's
no. That's not what I would do. I would have a non-heroic character or an NPC in that space. Just look at the character and say, well, I don't know. Have you looked yet?
Yeah.
Do you want me to look? Because I'm not there. I'm only going to speak to them directly in dialogue through a character I have in the scene. So that's how I would handle that. I wouldn't try to talk down to them. Like, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Should I open it? Do you want to open it?
Okay, that's
fair. If you have any
I'm not
present, you can have him that reply.
And that's why it's important to have a non-empty world, or even better would be one of the other players would say, well, I don't know, I'm not. I opened the last one. You got this one. I'm not opening this. You check it out.
So I just want to say, I think I misunderstood what you were saying before, Bear. So I apologize for that.
Okay,
but I thought you were saying like, did you open the chest? Like you're saying like, obviously you got to open the chest, but I guess what you're doing is asking if they're taking an action rather than if they did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. That's why it's sort of like, why would I be giving them shit? Like that's where my breakdown was. How am I giving them shit by asking them that question, right? But this is the thing. I mean, I agree with everything you guys have said. There's nothing you guys have said that's made me gone, what the fuck? No, you bunch of goddamn commies. Like, no, nothing. But I also accept that there are different styles. I have a player in my game, Chris, very good friend of mine, known since grade 3. He's hearing impaired. He's high tone frequency deaf. He misses things all the time at the table. He reads lips. Sometimes if someone's head is turned, he won't see what they've said and stuff like that. That's
why I tell my girlfriend as well.
Well, he will make absolute assumptions that just a moment ago were described as not being reality. You know what I mean? So sometimes the back and forth questioning helps because it allows the player who's maybe not there, who's got some reason not to be able to see something or hear something or feel something to be involved. So I'm not opposed to what you guys do. I'm just saying it's a table by table situation for me, and absolute trust is 100% needed.
Yeah, I think the trust elevates those issues to not mattering. Like once people are practiced or whatever you want to call it, like you don't need to worry about
the safety tools.
You don't need to worry about the stuff we're talking about. That is a problem.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I can only imagine that if you have a friend that wants to be involved and they need some special accommodations, then I mean obviously you're going to make special accommodations. But the for the most part, aside from those special accommodation questions, we haven't run into that. So I would suggest that probably online would never be a good option. In person would probably be better for that particular individual.
He's actually done well with the online because he can wear a headset and he can jack the volume. So all the voices, and it works really well for him. You know what I mean? But no, but it's table by table. It's always going to be table by table. There are people I've played with that I would never give them an ounce of trust because they're absolute, power gaming min-max or savages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there are other people I played with who will do nothing and will just sit there and stare at you until you give them something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
I won't play with either of those.
Neither
play
I
with
want
either.
at my table.
No.
Yeah, I don't want those people.
Yeah.
I just
I let people at my
respectfully not
table
be in their game.
because they're my friends and they're people I want to role play
Yeah.
with. And eventually I can get them to a point to where they will role play more. You got to get them there. But if you just shut them out, they're never going to improve. They're never going to get better.
Assuming that they, with one caveat that I would add to that, Bear, I agree with you, except that I do think there are some, and they're usually in the comment section, but there's some that will refuse to get better. Like there's some that will just say, look, I don't even want to countenance the possibility that I could do this differently than I've done for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And
those people suck.
Those people, I just can't, I don't see how we could ever get to that. Like, it's just not and that's the problem. Like, oh, well, you guys are trying something new and this is all this. Okay. We're never going to see eye to eye on that, because I'm not willing to do any hobby for decades and not see some improvement. Like I can't imagine someone that would do any other hobby outside of gaming and never see improvement. Like that doesn't.
I agree with you on that. Now, look, I've been playing since '85, and so that's however many fucking years it is now. It's going to be about 40 years or something. It's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the people who don't improve and who don't change are the people I don't play with anymore. They're the people I don't socialize with them anymore in the gaming circle. We just don't hang out anymore because they refuse to change, and that's okay. It's okay to go, you're not welcome to my table. But new players, and I've had the experience of bringing in a lot of new players to the games. It's my responsibility, and it's the veteran players' responsibility to help them improve and to help them get into the game and all that stuff. And nothing is more satisfying than seeing someone cross that line and seeing them take that step into the larger role-playing world. And that's where it gets really exciting and really interesting, because now they're experiencing a whole new thing. A new vista has opened up for them, and you get to be part of that. That's really satisfying. You know?
Immensely satisfying. My best players are the new players, because they have no bad habits. They come into the game with fresh eyes. They're all excited about it. They have different views, which is kind of exciting. What do you mean you're not supposed to, split the party? They just split the party. It's fantastic. And they don't know all the tropes. They don't they just are fresh eyes. And what I like about our style that we're experimenting with is I really like that look, all I want you to think about is where you are in this fictional world and what you're doing. That's it. I just want you to do that.
And then what you're saying.
And what you're saying. Yeah. Add that too. So
I think what we're doing as well, like when we talk about the hobby and the way we like thing, we're coming down with this language that we can, like, it's pretty easy to explain. Now I could get a new player and just tell them, don't worry too much. Just think about where your character is, what your character does, and what your character says, and just tell me that in that order. When your turn comes, you say like, "Oh, I'm by the door, and I'm putting slowly my hand on the door handle, and I'm seeing whatever." Right? Just like and then there you go. That's a great fucking. You just like you anchor your character in the world. You did an action. You said something. Right? That's great. Just I don't ask for any more than that, to be honest.
Can you, Max? Can you highlight Nerdy Ogre's comment there? How do you help new players become game masters?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. What I've been doing, I've been just trying this. I don't know if it'll be successful. Is I let, after the game, we end about half an hour early. This is my weekly in-person game, and I'll go through everything from my perspective, how I had prepared all of this. What I show them. Here's my notes. Here are the secrets that we did or didn't come up this session, and then here's how I did this. And so they're hopefully in time they're watching how. Now they may do things slightly different than me. That's fine, but I'm trying to show them as much as I can behind the curtain, so that it's not this mysterious, oh, I don't know if I could ever do that. I'm like, well, this is how I was ready for you, or this is where and then when you did this, I thought, well, that sounds like a better idea than what I had, so I just went with that. And then I thought it was interesting. So we have this half-hour conversation, and my thinking behind this half hour is not only just to reflect on what happened in the game, and so players can say, oh, that was cool when that happened, or I like that, but it's also a chance for me to, over time, train more game masters. I want them to say, oh, yeah, you know what? I wouldn't mind trying that. I can see what he's doing there. I understand now what he's talking about. And that's my long-term goal from doing that, having those sessions, those after game session conversations, is so that eventually they can start running games. And then I keep on asking them, okay, does somebody else want to take the reins? You want to run a different scenario, a different setting, or what do you want to do? And we'll go from there. Good question.
And they all say no, and then you GM for them.
Yeah, we're kind of comfortable with you doing it. Yeah, I get that answer a lot. That's why I don't know if this will be successful. So that's
one thing that's important to explain to like new GM, like, you know, don't put so much pressure on yourself. We're just playing a game. We're here to have fun. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do something like suboptimal. Don't worry too much about the rules, especially if you have players that know the rules as well. You know, just
embrace the cringe.
Roll with it. Embrace the cringe.
Yeah.
And then like those mistakes that you make, don't beat yourself with. You learn from them. You say, oh man, I should have done that in that place. But now for the next game you run, you got this one more string to your bow. Is that the fucking expression?
String to your bow. How many strings does your bow have?
Arrow in your quiver, baby.
Arrow in the quiver is what.
One more tool in the box.
One more string to your ARP.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, no, my best friend 30 years ago ran D&D once. He ran an evil campaign, and it was a shit show, and he hated it, and he refused to ever run D&D again. This Christmas, for the first time ever, his wife and his 2 sons asked him, you know, to run a game for them for Christmas, and he did. And he was like, we had so much fun. I'm like, this is what I've been telling you for 30 years, man. You let one bad experience put you off, and that was the mistake, because you could have been doing this for 30 years and having a grand time, you know.
Yeah. Well, good conversation. I got to run because I've got a game tomorrow, and I want to be on point for these 2 gentlemen. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. It's a 1975's New York City mafia setting.
Nice.
And we'll see
He's got to prepare the mozzarella.
Yeah, that's right. I got to get the mozzarella around. I've got all that. I've been having my Italian family coach me with the I still don't have it. So at any rate, thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And have a great evening, guys. And we'll see Phil, Max, we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Yeah, Phil.
Absolutely.
Well, Crispy, we're going to see you tomorrow. Very excited.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
Yeah, with the TPS system, Total Party Skill system, I think that'll be very fucking cool.
Yeah.
I like your background, Phil.
Thanks, man.
Super cool.
Yeah.
AI. Can you believe it?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I know. It looks very much like an AI picture.
No, actually, I find the... Anyway, I have no issues with AI art, so it's fine.
Me neither.
Me neither. Don't fucking.
So we solved it then, didn't we?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything to solve. Honestly, I think we all agreed walking in the door, and we agree walking out the door. You know what I mean?
But you know what nerdy got question about, like, how do you help new GM? Like, I think even reminding them, like, you're still playing the game, you're still a player. Don't put yourself on this pedestal that, oh, I need to entertain those guys, and be like, no, you're there at the table as a player as well. You have to enjoy yourself. Don't put so much pressure on you, and the guy has to understand. You know, like, you make stuff up on the fly, have some idea and stuff like that. Don't have too many, because then you're gonna feel bound by those ideas. It's gonna make it harder to riff from what the players are, because you're gonna try to shoehorn in your idea. And just that's it. Remember, you're a player as well. You're there to have fun. You're there to enjoy yourself. You riff from what the player give you.
Some of the best sessions I've ever run have been ones where I wasn't prepared, and I just showed up and went with what the players did.
Certainly.
And if you make mistake, and if it's not the best session that the player have, that's fine. It's we're just playing a game and stuff like that. It's not the end of the world. Like, you don't have to make, oh, it's gonna be like my magnum opus on the first time that you never know what's gonna be a good session or not.
Fair.
Yeah.
So
my advice. Yeah.
Did you put Sojourner on hiatus also or not?
Sojourner is not on hiatus. We just had to take a little bit of a hiccup, but we're back on track now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a fun little game.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
And Jacob Wiseman was asking if there was like a Vietnam RPG that was planned. No, we have like this Mafia game. Are we announcing the other one that we have coming up?
Oh,
Phil?
the Wendy's game.
The Wendy's game. That's why we're talking about Wendy's
We're gonna
earlier.
4D the Wendy's RPG.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
On the next Monday. So this
Wanna
to
run it.
tomorrow.
It's
gonna
a
be
lot
back
of
game.
yeah. It's a lot of damage sponges. I was looking at the.
Yeah.
It's even worse.
You have to
than
eat those
D&D.
burger to recover.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, the long rest is sitting down for a meal, and the short rest is taking a snack or whatever.
But we'll see.
I remember reading it when it came out. It was very weird, but it wasn't bad. I remember reading, going, "This isn't horrible," you know.
Pretty much D&D, right?
Yeah.
They even accidentally start calling the bonus action a bonus action throughout the book. They start calling it an extra action, and then after that moment, it's bonus action.
You should have called it like a side action or something like that.
Yeah.
To go with the fast food team.
It's kind of like pretty cute with the wording. I was reading it today. Like it kind of realizes it's ripping off D&D. Then it's like, and then you have the opportunity to attack. We'll call it a dirty hit or something.
We'll call it a frosty.
Yeah, we'll call it something.
At some point, I decided, like I was talking about that to Phil earlier. I decided at some point I want to run a fucking cats game.
Yeah.
Like Jellicle Cats? Okay.
Yeah. Jellicle Cats.
Interesting.
Play like Jellicle.
Well, you guys are really big on the one-off, right?
Yeah. We're thinking about starting campaigns.
Yeah, we discussed that. Like, we have some plans for Monday.
Get a Traveler campaign, maybe. And
is it gonna be Traveler?
You guys might start up your Castles and Crusades game again.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Who knows?
But we're I don't know. Those one shot have been quite fun because we can experiment different things. And like I said, we like doing the little chat afterward when we go back onto them and say like, well, what could have been done better? And then we have a new game to try something different, right? And just like try different style, try different like, I've made this mistake in that game. Now like I have a fresh slate. I can try something different. Oh, my character stalled too much. I'm gonna try to have a little more active guy, right? Just like that's me. I'm a fucking staller. I don't know why.
It does seem like we kind of have archetypes we like to play. Or y'all do.
Yeah.
I've only rolled one character ever in this little thing, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, what? Oh yeah, it was. Oh yeah, that was the first game you were in. It's true.
I keep telling you that it was like the best game I ever had a GM for. So you're the first GM I ever had.
Yeah, you're the first GM of this crew. So you just lowered the bar quite a bit. Thank you, Phil.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you did great with that fucking character, man.
You did great as a GM.
I didn't do much.
Would you two like to be alone? Should I leave?
No, I want you to watch, Bear.
Oh, baby.
On the cock chair.
Mommy. Sorry,
so what else do we have to talk about?
Oh, you got it.
Did we go around the topic? Is that
you got that one? Yay! Most people don't get Blue Velvet references.
Oh man, I love Blue Velvet.
So what was your question, Max?
I was asking if there's another topic something else we want to touch about. We kind of ran around this topic.
Do we want to talk about our plans for March 1st or something?
Oh, maybe it's too early for that. Let's wait a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we also got another big Traveler game coming up, and then it's going to be...
Yeah, I'm not involved in that one.
Yeah.
But you're going to be in there. Yeah. So, basically, in the next few Mondays, on our little group there that we have one of those one-shot, basically every Monday for the near foreseeable future. At some point, it's going to be a cat one. And I'm going to run. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I'm not super interested in playing a joke.
You have to sing?
No, you don't have to sing. No, you're gonna fucking play like fucking seriously, right? We're gonna try to go fucking figure out what's happening in that fucking show.
Bear, how much singing has to take place in a musical for it to be a musical? I feel like you would know the answer to that.
I hate musicals, so I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
but you
hate
like-
music?
I
You
don't
were in the
hate them,
biz,
but
right?
I get exhausted by musicals pretty fucking easily. I don't know.
I
I
think the
mean,
only one I ever liked was like the Sweeney Todd one.
see the Sound of
The-
Music musical.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I love that movie.
Yes,
I love
it
that
is, of
movie.
course.
I absolutely adore that movie.
The Wizard of Oz.
My favorite musical is Rocky Horror. I mean, I absolutely love that fucking film.
That's a gap in my cultural knowledge.
Ah,
I've never seen it.
There you go.
There has to be a song every 15
Legend.
minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah,
That sounds right.
well, if anybody knows musical theater, it's Justin.
I love musicals, man.
I think
What's
my
your
favorite is Little Shop of Horror.
Yeah, it's a good one.
too. Good
It's
choice.
actually a very good one.
Yeah.
Feed me, Seymour, feed me.
But fucking Martin is great in that.
I prefer the original ending, though.
Yeah, the original ending's pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is the original? I always forget. Is it the one where the city is destroyed?
Yeah.
Yeah, where the
They
plants
cut that out, though.
invade, and it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
They
I
forced
knew the two ending. I always forget which one is the OG one and which one is the.
They forced them to change it for the original release, but it surfaced for the director's cut.
Yeah.
Like 4 decades later or some shit like that.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was your game, Justin. How did it go?
It was good. It was good. Ran a
This
little
was
longer.
Shadows
the-
Pirates of Darkwater game.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the cartoon?
No. He based it loosely on that. He's calling it bright water, but might as well be the same thing. Yeah.
That doesn't
I
make
know.
sense.
Sarcastic
That's-
term for it, right?
That's not oil, though. Isn't it an oil metaphor?
What?
I don't know. He's not super.
How many players are in it?
We had 4 tonight, but
That's
there's
not
normally
bad.
5, 6. I don't know, something like that. 6, I
That's not
think.
bad.
Yeah, because Brian is going through some stuff with his mom. So
No shitty.
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we're about to wrap up, I guess, because we're kind of like exhausted the topic. But if you have something else you want to talk about, or people in chat, I don't know. It's
I
been
want
too
to-
long.
No, I said hi
fan
and you through the
dancing.
LinkedIn. So sorry.
Hmm?
I said
Yeah.
hi and you through the LinkedIn, so I figured you wanted.
Well, I mean, I'm used to have you on Sunday, just like like I said, like
The
gaming
old
is better
band's
than
back
talking about
together here.
gaming.
I was missing you.
Justin,
Aw.
Yeah.
Max and Justin, Justin and Max.
Yep.
Kitty and Stud.
What?
It's a bad movie that I'm going to eventually watch on my Discord sometime called East Meets Watts.
East meets what?
It's a 70s blaxploitation meets kung fu exploitation. It's a really weird movie.
Sounds awesome.
Oh, okay.
I started watching the X-File. I never saw them.
I
Oh,
thought I discouraged that.
How far are you in?
I watched
You like
3 or 4 episodes.
okay.
Right now.
Once you figure out the pattern, you'll know which
Yeah.
episodes you want to skip and which episodes you want to watch.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe like I want to skip them all. I'm not into
Yeah.
it at all.
It does not hold
I
up.
tried to
It depends.
dissuade
Do you like Monster of the Week or do you like Conspiracy Theory? And that's where you'll come down to. If you like Monster of the Week, you'll skip
yeah.
every 5th episode. If you like Conspiracy Theory, you'll only watch every 5th episode, and that's sort of how it goes.
Right.
You know.
I prefer conspiracy theory, I guess. Yeah, you kind of discourage me,
forward for
Phil. But then like the Black Lodge game talk positively about them, and I guess like I say, what? Now I don't have to make my own fucking mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had like two disagreeing opinions, so I say I'll see for
fair.
myself.
I
But
don't
I
hate
find
Monster.
like there's too much alien shit. I wish they would go like in other kind of like supernatural stuff, right?
More
Yeah.
cryptid
Because
shit.
like I don't really care about aliens. Like for me,
But
aliens are demons. so I
That's the
wanna see
conspiracy
demons.
of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So skip the conspiracy episodes then, because that's all the alien stuff.
To be honest, like in the first season, I assume he's gonna get better at all, like later on. But like I'm surprised that the show became so big because it's kind of like cheaply produced, even from the
Yeah.
time. And
Mhm.
David
Yeah.
Duchovny is quite wooden.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
he's
he's
not
always
good at
wooden.
all.
I
What?
know that changes.
No,
You don't know if
That's
that
not-
changes?
does not
What
That's
made
a
X-Files
feature.
so great? Like a lot of people were into the conspiracy, but if you talk like X-Files casuals, they're always going to say, well, Flukeworm Man. You know, they're going to say like these specific Monster of the Week episodes were the ones they really liked more than anything else.
Yeah.
I finished season 1 of Farscape on your
love that show.
Oh my
I
god,
love that show.
yeah, you have such good taste, man.
I remember why I disliked it so much.
Why?
I fucking hate Chiana.
Oh, Gigi Edgley. I love Chiana, especially her arc as the show goes on.
She might be the weakest character, though.
Yeah.
Chiana? No. Jewel is the weakest character, but she's
yeah, if you count. I'm saying like OGs.
What is Jewel?
Farscape is the
He
one
shows up
with
in
the,
like season 2 or 3.
The one with
that,
like the
Jewel is
alien
first.
with the big fucking skin, chin, shit
Oh,
like that.
Dargo.
Yeah, that's Farscape, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never watched that show. Like, there's too many alien.
They're all aliens.
There's one human.
There's too much production.
One human.
And the fucking like bad guy there in the bondage gear. Yeah, I'm gonna skip.
Yeah,
Scorpius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scorpius. No. I have no problem with sci-fi promoting people in bondage being evil.
I feel like that was a shot at World War II.
Scorpius
Weird
is
War
super
II.
What?
badass.
No, we're not allowed to talk about that here.
Weird War II. Weird Brian.
Yeah,
Brian. Brian.
Yeah. My man Brian.
Yeah.
Do you like DS9 or Farscape more, Bear?
Me?
Yes, man.
Peacekeeper Wars included.
Okay, I didn't like the Peacekeeper Wars. So
Okay, I like.
we're there.
Good.
But
Season 5.
I've watched DS9 many more times than I've ever rewatched Farscape. I love DS9.
Yeah, I loved. I saw a
But you're
clip.
a Trekkie by trade.
Yeah,
Almost.
No.
I saw a
The Star
clip.
Trek guy.
I saw a clip. Okay, I saw a clip of a time travel episode of Destiny on YouTube, and I saw you had it on your Plex server.
Which Destiny?
Yeah, Star Trek Destiny, wasn't it? Is it not Destiny labeled there?
Or Discovery?
Yeah. Discovery.
No, I have Discovery because a friend wanted to watch it, so I
No, you don't have Discovery. You don't have a single
I put it on
episode.
USB key form. I know that.
Okay, because it's labeled as Discovery, but there's like a season of Brave New World, half a season of Picard, and then a bunch of episodes of the original series in Spanish.
Yeah.
What about the?
No, they have English. The names are the files are named Spanish, but they actually have English audio.
No. Subtitles maybe, but they're
No. There's an English audio track. Trust me. You just got to turn it
you
on.
have to switch it over.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just got to switch it over. Yeah, no, my Star Trek folder is just stuff. I didn't put a lot of stuff in it that it was good. So let's see. Star Trek, we have Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and Picard. And under Star Trek, I have the original series. And then under the animated, I have Prodigy and Lower Decks, I think. Let me double check.
What about
Lower Decks and Prodigy.
Cleopatra 2525?
Oh my god! I fucking what?
Judging by most of the stuff you got on that server, I'm surprised it's not there.
Look, I like bad shit as much as I like good shit.
Yeah. The stuff he was mentioning, that's what came to mind.
Cleopatra 2525 I don't have, but why not, man?
But you always seem to like everything I like.
Okay.
I was wondering, have you ever watched Burn Notice?
I have not, and I should because I love Bruce Campbell, and I should watch it, but I've never seen it.
It's a great show.
If you're a big fan of if you're a big LSD fan, Lex might be for you.
I
haven't
couldn't
done
get into
LSD
Lex.
in years, so
There's two X's in that, bro.
I could not get into that show, man.
Are you talking about the drug LSD?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you thinking it was LDS?
I don't know what it is.
If you're really into Mormons, Lex is the way to
Not
go.
LSD was some acronym for some nerd show or something.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
But I assume he was talking about the drug.
I liked Lex, but it has a really good musical episode.
Do you like LSD?
No, I don't like LSD.
So
Never
the
used it.
theory of the flamingo there is it's going down the drain.
I used it too much to like it now, basically.
What, LSD?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
Anyway, guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now because now we're just fucking chatting, right? And
yeah,
Now
we're doing
just-
the thing.
Now
we're
we're just
following.
shooting the shit.
That's
Yeah.
We
okay.
can do that off stream, but I think it was a good conversation.
Yeah, no doubt.
I agree.
I missed
On
it
this,
all.
player. Yeah, you can rewatch it
Roll it
later.
back. Roll it back. Just
Player, and you can tell your opinion on my new intro. Did you see it there?
Your background is freaking me out.
face melting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The new intro. I'm gonna be back next week. And this new show that I renamed to Tear Off Your Skin. So yeah, I hope to see you all. Thank you for people that joined me on the panel, people that join us in chat, people that are gonna watch later on in the replay, and I hope to see you all again next week, skinless. So
No, I'll be here with skin.
yeah,
Get it out.
well, some people have some skin that have been teared off already, but that's take care, guys. I'm getting this stream
Yeah.
now on this weird circumcision joke. Take care.
Good job.
And on the high note.
And on a high note.